All right, going up on a Tuesday here in the Big O, flight tracker season, almost feast week, weird weather, and there is we call them Kaibos. There is a porta potty that is located at 51st and Dodge, right here on the corner, just sitting there. Like that's it's like the highly traveled street here in Omaha. We don't have a streetcar that's coming to the street. We got the Orbit. But we have a porta potty just sitting on the corner of 51st and Dodge.
Did you get that for us, Matt?
No. Did you get honked at today turning left into Dodge? Turning left into the parking lot off of Dodge?
I don't think so. Why?
Oh, okay. Well, when I was walking in, I heard a big old honk. And then I saw
you were well here before me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Just a big fan of the station, I'm sure.
Well, I got worried. I heard a big honk, and I thought it might have been you turning in. And I was like, I hope like Gary didn't get into a crash or anything like that.
No.
It would have been a boom.
I don't think I heard a horn or anything like that. I was just enamored by the fact that on the busiest street in the city, we have a porta potty. It's just sitting on the corner.
Is it in the road or is
Well, they've now moved it to the corner. So they were doing construction here in this area around our radio station. And to take care of the fine men and women that are working on the streets, because you know what? That's what we do every day in this town. We find a new street to tear up. Today, though, your streets are littered by leaves. The thunderstorm last night, the weird mid-November thunderstorm. There's going to be some leaf raking going on today. But no, I pull up to the corner, because I have now shortcuts how to get to work.
Yeah.
And it's just sitting there. And it has been sitting there now for like 2 weeks, and the construction has been gone.
Have you used it? Or
when would I use it?
I don't know. I'm just riffing right now. I mean,
that's kind of odd, but okay.
I don't understand from a certain perspective why they're doing construction in this town at some of the busiest points. You would think like maybe they would have a crew that would come in at like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock.
Yeah, you were asking that the other day. Why don't they do more traffic construction overnight?
Yeah, I mean that's what.
I don't know.
They
do on 80, I believe.
Okay, that makes more sense. Like on the highways, it makes a ton of sense.
But it'd be dangerous. I wouldn't want to be working out there at night.
Sure, with the potential of drunk drivers, you're absolutely correct. But at the same time, this is big city Matt. It's like back in Chicago. It's like that's what they did.
Yeah.
They would like at 1 o'clock, you have the 1 o'clock crew and they come and they do all the work. And then like you'd come through, you drive through, like nobody's there and they're not taking up any more space. And you're like, oh, they did good work overnight. And then you just do that for a couple of months and then you never like get hindered by it. So this place though, you're right. I mean, you got to do the work.
I'm not gonna complain because I got my I-80 project done. I'm not gonna complain that all of a sudden the 72nd Street bridge on L Street is gone, which is a big deal. They are no more bridge.
I drove past I-80, past Giles on I-80, and it was like the most freeing experience that I've had here in Omaha. Just the fact that there was
that big.
The fact that
shout out to how long that project took, but it has had an impact on your life,
Gary. I didn't have to brake. I didn't have to stop. I didn't have to get in the right lane and be like, which lane of traffic is moving quicker. Like I actually got to Gretna in like 20 minutes as opposed to the 35 that it had been taking me. It was riveting.
All right, welcome in, everybody. We are off on a Tuesday, a day closer to Run the Ball Saturday night in State College, where pick a number. Will Nebraska or Penn State eclipse that number in running the football? I've seen 275 yards that Penn State is going to run for that is out there, over or under. I'm telling you, if they run for over 275 yards, have fun on Big Red Overreaction. But it is a Run the Ball Saturday night that we will talk lots about. Matt Rhule spoke quickly yesterday. Didn't really give us much. Not that we were looking for much. It's towards the end of the year. You got one eye on 2026 while you're trying to close down the momentum of 2025. So it was not a lot of juicy stuff. Just kind of in and out.
I thought
Dylan got a mention.
He gave a couple nuggets. I thought like the when he mentioned EJ and being like it's good for recruiting. That kind of hit the nail on the head. I think we all knew that, but it was nice for him to admit that. And then there was he just said straight. I mean, I think we've all kind of assumed with 2026 it was going to be a smaller class and they were looking for quality prospects. And you do the math. He just outright just said it like we're going to take one or two more guys. And then
I lost a guy over the weekend. Not a surprise though.
And then on trying to think of more of
Yeah, then just
that
nothing. It
it.
was
Yeah, that was kind of
It's
it.
what more are you going to say? You're coming off a bye week, nothing major. The most important thing you said yesterday was that McCullough is back,
Yes.
and that Dawson Merritt is getting closer to returning. Those were the two biggest things to me. Everything else, it's kind of. I told you yesterday how I thought he would handle the night game, how he would handle Penn State. I thought he'd talk a little bit more about Penn State, but that's fine. The guy that he is facing, that he hired at Temple, talked a lot about Matt Rhule yesterday, and Terry Smith, the interim head coach at Penn State. But that game kicks off at 6 o'clock. And you know what? Today, share more of your get-in price if you're going to the game, how cheap it is to get into the stadium that is in the middle of nowhere. Not really middle of nowhere in the town, but State College is the middle of nowhere. And I think we are in a competition now amongst Nebraska fans that have the ability to get to the game on Saturday night, is you share how low you can get your ticket price. I love it.
Cheap. There's nothing better than cheap ticket pissing contest, because the expensive thing pissing contests are the most like insufferable.
Does that happen a lot? I don't see that a lot.
Well, the whole look at my watch, or look at my car, or look at the things that I've bought, just everyday flexing of like people being like,
hey, that carries over to. I've never heard over to. I know it. I know that part, but ticket prices.
No, not ticket prices. I'm just saying pissing contests that have to do with expensive items.
Yeah, I don't think this is I don't think this is a pissing contest. I think this is kind of fun. This is the pursuit of getting the cheapest get-in price. Like if you got $9 tickets, somebody is out there searching to find an $8 ticket to get into a Big Ten football game in late November.
It's probably more comparable to the scene in American Psycho where they're showing off the cards of being like, I mean, at the end of the day, who really cares if you got a $9 ticket over an $8 ticket, and who really cares if you use bone and certain lettering with a watermark on your card? But it's fun. It's just so funny to me when I think about this Penn State game, how just the narrative has completely shifted on it from like an automatic loss to will Nebraska be a 20-point favorite to, oh my God, it's going to be so hard to play in that night game, to now it's like, why are they a 9.5-point underdog? I did a whole take 5 on it.
A 20-point favorite?
We were in the summer. It was like we were discussing.
You meant Penn State.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that would be.
I know. I'm having a hard time following.
That would mean Nebraska was unbeaten and rolling.
Oh no!
God, I couldn't even imagine a 20-point favorite in State College. There would be. Penn State would be like down like 4 guys, so they could only play like 7 guys on offense and defense. What was it? The line remains 9.5.
Yeah, 9.5.
Confusing to some. It's okay.
It was confusing to me, but it did set off an alarm to the point where you do enough digging and you're like, I can maybe see how they got here still. And you have learned yesterday never to take my gambling advice. That I would bet it. I wouldn't. I mean, that doesn't mean a whole lot.
What is it? You know what? I haven't looked. All I know is that what the spread was. I have not looked at the total. What is the total for this game?
I think it's 46.5.
Okay. All right. So run the ball Saturday. I hope that's how Noah Eagle opens up the broadcast. Welcome to Run the Ball Saturday.
44 and 44.5.
Okay. Run the ball, stop the run, win the game. Todd, back to you.
Plus 280 on money line.
Oh, you're contemplating it.
I don't. But
you gonna pull the trigger?
It's really good value.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really good value.
What are you thinking? Come on. It's Tuesday. The game kicks at 6. Saturday night.
I think it could be a 2017 Nebraska victory.
Okay.
I could totally see that happening.
All right.
I could see them. We've had this discussion all year. That's my thing about this game, where we've done this all year long with Nebraska, where like the run defense is terrible. The run defense is terrible. Run defense is not good. And we've talked in.
Let's just say it's not ideal.
Yes.
92nd in the country.
They're 126th in EPA against the run. Like that's bad. But at the same time, despite that, and despite all our conversations about it, they've been able to overcome it. And they've been able to win 7 games in spite of the fact that they can't stop the run. And Penn State, while they're going to run the ball a lot, you still have to throw the ball in the game of football. And with Ethan Grunkmeyer and
Not necessarily.
I mean,
if you're able to run the ball like they were against Michigan State,
Why would you pass?
why? And they only threw the ball 13 times. They ran 50 times. Like
I-
if you don't have
yes.
to, if you can run the ball at will, why would you ever throw the football unless you were
Well-
pressed into have to throw it?
sure, but I don't think that Nebraska is to the Michigan State level of not being able to stop the run. Like they've had their moments
No.
and they've had their spots. And
But there's a commitment to the run. I think
sure,
I think Penn State knows what they have at quarterback, and it actually plays in Nebraska's hands a little bit better with a more of a statue quarterback. But they have, Allen and Singleton are still there. I think there's going to be heavy dose on both sides of running the football. Now, one side will have a running back and a quarterback. The other side will have a two-headed running back.
if you can get them, if you can have one TFL and stop and just like have a really good run play rep and then force them into like a 3rd and 7 or a 3rd and 8.
There you go. There's your passing.
I just there it is. Like I think that'll be and you've said it on a couple of games this year, and I'll go as far as to say I think it's probably the key for the rest of the season and has been the key for Nebraska. It's first downs. Like if Nebraska can win the first down battle on both sides of the football, they're going to win the football game. And now going back to betting, if it's really that like if it's really that simple, like if I'm putting it that narrow into just win the first down battle, I'm willing to take plus 280.
Okay.
Like I'm willing to have 10 to win 28 there.
All right. Coming up on the show, Sam McEwen will join us in about an hour from the Omaha World Herald. Also, Brian Christopherson stops by. Both of those guys will stop by, and then they will go directly to State College in the middle of nowhere for a game on a Saturday night in late November, which actually has a lot of meaning to both sides. So they will join us on the program today. That's the lineup brought to you by the referees of John Higgins Weather Guard. If you watched the NFL game last night, I have a couple of takeaways.
Okay.
One, great anthem. Good on ESPN for showing the entire anthem. That was a really, really good anthem. I can appreciate a good anthem. Then I can also appreciate there are some places and states that do the big flag better than others. Like Colorado, watching the Kansas City-Denver game the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado is a big flag place. When they're having an event, they like the flag. They like to stretch the flag out. We only like to stretch the flag out here at the College World Series. Yeah. I don't think that Nebraska is a great big flag state, but I think places like Maryland,
it's big.
I think places like Colorado, I think Vegas are big.
Don't forget
flag,
Texas. They love the flag in Texas.
The field states. And last night, that was a big flag. I think you should put it on your Wikipedia page. We are a big flag state. And I would like to.
It's a great takeaway.
I would like to at some point, because you only really see the big flag at the College World Series and then occasionally in Lincoln. But I would like one time to be out there where I'm holding the American big flag. I would like to do that. That's it's on a wish list. I don't know how people are selected for that, whether they are from the military or maybe the sponsor.
How do they do it at Arrowhead?
They get volunteers. I think they have volunteers.
Okay.
I think people that are involved in, I don't know, the game ops or whatever, and you go out and you hold the flag. But
maybe Nate could get you a hookup.
Vegas is a big flag place. Just like Colorado. Colorado's a big flag place. We only have big flags like outside of U-stops and things like that, and outside of the voting whatever that thing is off of L Street.
I could just imagine you.
Is Nebraska out on America?
Close to your.
Oh, we
TV.
love America here.
But we need to get behind the flag.
We have a governor.
Saying.
He's America first.
I can just see Gary like
Chancellor, who will be out
up close to the TV, and you're just like looking at the flag, and your significant other.
Can you not appreciate a big flag?
I've never
big flag.
I've never said. I'm laughing.
You've been to a game where they've had the big flag in center field?
July 4th. Comes. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's very good on you for to recognize that. Yeah, that was my only.
We need more big flags.
That's about my only. That's my only big flag.
Happiness is the big flag.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just laughing thinking about you just sitting down on your couch watching a game, being like, "Wow, that's a good big flag state." You know,
well, because when you combine a great anthem with a big flag, there is a lot of patriotism that is flowing through you, and that's what happened last night. Now, here's my other takeaway from that game.
Go ahead.
The Raiders are terrible.
Yeah,
the Raiders are absolutely terrible, and I fear that Father Time has caught up to Pete Carroll, and he's going to take Chip Kelly down with him.
For
Now,
one night, they
my
made me
other-
enjoy football.
My other
again.
takeaway from
By the way, I don't think Chip Kelly needs Pete Carroll being bad at his job to be taken down. I think that there are other things.
what a fall from grace for Chip Kelly.
Mhm.
You remember that time he was at Ohio State and they won a national championship and he was just the OC?
Oh.
And then he decided that, you know what? Let's go join 70-plus-year-old Pete Carroll,
Why?
who is trying to prove everybody wrong that the Seahawks were wrong, went to Las Vegas. They're 2-8, and Chip Kelly forgot that they drafted Genty and says, you know what? Let's have a 35-year-old quarterback who should never play in primetime again.
No.
Throw the football and keep throwing it and have as many interceptions as Tua. All right, that was good for a while. It looked good in the offseason to talk about. In this season, 10 games in, not good. But my other takeaway from last night, by the way, nice win by the Cowboys. They scored 33 points.
They should
but
play the Raiders every week.
The Raiders
Football
are
would be fun again.
the Raiders are terrible.
They're awful.
Is that I would like to spend some time with Mark Davis.
Oh, okay.
I think now
Not where I thought
the
you were
two
going.
owners that were at that game last night, and by the way, Quinnen Williams had his best game as a Cowboy. I mean,
His
he looked
first game.
really, really good.
Yeah, Jerry smiling from
Yeah.
ear to ear in that box.
So just think about the two owners that were going at each other last night. And that was, if you're an old head, you're like, man, I remember when these used to be Super Bowl games. That was a great uniform matchup last night.
Mhm.
But look at the two owners. You have Jera, and then you have Mark Davis. I am now fully invested and fascinated by Mark Davis. One,
his haircut.
the haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Two, he eats at PF Chang's. And three,
Not terrible.
the AI generated women that were in his suite last night. Those women are not real. If you look at them, they are not real. I even paused the television last night to get a look
Really?
because there is no way that the women that were in the suite with Mark Davis last night are real. I think they are AI generated and that if accidentally they tripped, their face would break. But
Man,
I would like
should've
to
stayed
know
up.
how he got them. So Mark Davis is somebody I could have a beer with.
Money, Gary.
Do they serve beer at PF Chang's?
Yes,
They do?
Sapporo, probably.
I'm sure they have
Probably
Miller
some
Lite.
really good beers there. I'm assuming
Because it's a Japanese place?
yeah.
PF Chang's.
I don't know that they serve.
Gary, they probably serve beer there. They gotta serve beer there.
I'm sure they serve beer there.
But he goes there all the time.
Lettuce wraps.
Have you ever
Mhm.
Vince Young going bankrupt at a cheesecake factory and Mark Davis eating at PF Chang's might be really undersold stories. But I have some follow-up to Mark Davis because he's also the guy who he's the one that when he returns to Vegas and, sometimes when he flies commercial, which is probably very rare,
Yeah.
but you might see him sitting at one of the machines when you walk off the plane. There in the Vegas airport. It's right there when you come out of the gate and you walk into the airport to go get your baggage. All of them are right there. And, I always put like $1 in just to say, you know what, let's see what my luck is.
Warm up.
Mark Davis is the kind of guy that would go to the airport to sit and play the slots there. And I'm fascinated.
You have to think that Mark Davis would be very
How is nobody else like onto this with me? Like we need to spend more time with Mark Davis.
First off, I don't think Mark Davis is going to spend any time with anybody that isn't incredibly influential or has a ton of money or looks like one of the
He
AI
goes to
generated
PF
dolls.
Chang's. Average Joe and Jane go to PF Chang's.
probably-
I've seen the parking lot. I've been inside of the one at Westroads.
Yeah,
You
right
don't-
next to
you don't
Cheesecake
think he's got
Factory.
his own private room? You don't think he's got the own Mark Davis room at a PF Chang's? He definitely has his
I don't
own.
think so.
little
I
I'm with
think
you. He's a regular table
I think
guy.
he's a man of the people.
I don't think he's
Maybe a
sitting in a
booth.
booth. I think he's probably off in the back with things on the menu that will never be on the menu that they're customly making for him. John Gruden has an incredible story about him going to a PF Chang's with Mark Davis and just how they rolled out the red carpet and was one of the most incredible.
Did they sit in a booth?
I don't know if they sat in the booth, but they have to be in their own room.
Does
Secondly,
PF Chang's have private rooms?
Not that I remember.
Does the one at Westroads have a private room?
you don't think Mark Davis has enough money to be like, hey, tear this thing down, make me my own room?
You can get a
Probably.
private room in Vegas,
If
but
you're
not a
going to
PF
PF
The
Chang's
Chang's.
football
that
team
much?
is 2-8. Hell no, and that they should have never left Oakland. No way.
I don't think it has anything to do. You don't think you think PF Chang's is being like, hey, Mark, you want to come and dine here and get your own room? You got to win more football games. I don't think that's going on. Also, too, that haircut has to be one of the greatest bits at this point, right?
I think it's a bit. I think it's real.
Well, it's his brand. It's like James Harden in the beard. It's like him.
What
in
if
that
that's the only
haircut.
hair that he can grow, and nobody is willing to say, Mark,
You don't think that he could get a better haircut that can better set? You don't think that that guy has enough money to go to Turkey to get a own hair transplant or anything like that? I do respect Mark Davis from the perspective of all these people with all this money. They're getting testosterone replacement therapy, and they're all getting jacked, and they're all trying to be in the best shape of their lives. And he's just like, yeah, I'm me. I'm here. And by the way, how did the women get into Mark Davis's box? There's a five-letter word that we all know is how that happened.
Money.
What
Always
is it?
money.
It's money. He's rich. That's how it works. He's just
People like money.
bang.
You don't think those women are
Like
just
his personality?
Like
No. He's got
The moral kids have money.
I don't want to be. I
Good luck
want
with
to
your
look at a
bets.
different view on this. Maybe just he's someone that's great to be around.
he's a good hang.
What?
Oh,
I
there's
just said I
another.
wanted to go I want to dine with him at PF Chang. I don't think Mark Davis gets interviewed enough.
Okay, that is probably a good take. I think we could probably take away a couple of interviews from the other owner that was in the other box from that game yesterday, and probably give a couple of his interviews.
I prefer
Davis?
Mark Davis.
Yeah, well,
I'd rather hear
obviously.
from Mark Davis.
Hey, your
He's
team's
more
Your
interesting.
team's 4-5-1. They probably have the comeback player of the year in Dak.
They're terrible. But you know what? For
No,
one
the
night,
Raiders
they
are
were a
terrible.
real team. They were a real team for
Rooting
one
for
night.
an 8-8 football team is one of the most painstaking processes.
You
like,
get
just
used to
maybe in
it.
sports. Well, you haven't experienced it.
It's like how diabetics lose feeling in their feet. You just don't notice
you
it
had
after a
you
while.
had the 3 years in a row and 11-12.
It means nothing.
And 11, 12, and 13, you had the 3, 8, and 8 years in a row.
Yeah.
And didn't a couple of those like come down to week 17? And you
I'm
lost
sure
those
they
games?
did. Yeah.
Outside of that, though, you haven't had a lot of 8 and 8 seasons. It's been a
Yes,
while.
they have. 99, they went 8-8.
Okay.
There's a lot of.
I'm
trust
talking
me,
about since
Trust
2013,
me.
Jimmy.
Don't try to justify my team's crap performance on most weeks. For one night, we were the real Cowboys again. It was great.
I will give you credit. You actually are not good.
George
this
Pickens
year.
was running and doing things, and
He
Dak
looked
was throwing the ball.
awesome.
And in fact, for once, I went to bed saying, "You know what? Got this game in hand. We're gonna call it a night."
Jake Ferguson had one of the best celebrations of the year yesterday with the mime.
It was fun. It was a good night.
I don't know. I prefer the AB Selly. George Pickens had a monster night.
And then he got a penalty
Yeah.
for let him have fun. Didn't we cover this yesterday with the shirts off?
All right. So Bruin Steve has shared
Hi,
that
Steve.
yes, they do serve beer at PF Chang's.
All right.
A little Sapporo.
Good call.
They got a house Pilsner. Oh, they serve Blue Moon. Oh, they
Authentic Japanese beer?
sell Stella.
Is-
They sell a Bud Light. Just new to our country. We've imported it from the Pacific Rim.
Gary, do they serve Mick Ultra?
They got a thing called the Coors Light Lager.
Oh,
Ooh.
nice. How
Ooh.
fancy.
Ooh, I wonder if that comes in a big clear glass.
I got a gift for my dad. I got a Coors Light Select, It's the holiday edition. It comes with Santa Claus on the bottle.
All right, that you got the lineup, you got the conversation. Nebraska and Penn State, plus a lot of stuff going on. I said it was flight tracker season. Buckle up; it's going to be a lot of fun. How much fun will it be in Oxford? Will it be a lot of fun in Blacksburg? And will it be fun in Minnesota and Fayetteville? Could PJ Fleck be off to Arkansas?
Whoa. That'd be a plot twist.
That'd be such a plot twist.
They have boats in Arkansas.
All right, we're off and running on a Tuesday. Glad to have you in, Gary and Jimmy and Matt. 1620 The Zone. So last night's Monday night game, which was a bad game, unless you're a Dallas fan.
I enjoyed it immensely.
Bad football games are meant for the Manning cast.
They had a good one.
Those two had a field day with the bad football that was being played last night.
See, I didn't see any of the clips from the Manning cast other than George W. Bush was on.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
Yeah, it was a great conversation.
Better than Bob Iger.
incredible stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, their interview list that those two have gotten over the years that they've done it has been incredibly impressive.
Speaking of guys I want to go to PF Chang's with, W be one of them.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Eli Manning.
Either or. Guy was on. I thought of you.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
George W. is looking good.
He knows ball.
He was talking good. And he was talking well yesterday.
All right, let's begin the morning. What a good way to start a Tuesday morning on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline with Random Mike. Hello, Mike.
Boy, I am bringing good news this morning.
Okay. Hit
I
me
don't know
with
if
it.
you listen. I don't know if you listen to Connor's show, but they're calling
Who?
me the pimp for big walnuts.
Oh, yes.
A
Yes. Yes.
You know, Gary,
Are you a
we're
pimp?
getting older. We're getting older. An unpaid one. We're getting older.
Okay.
Where heart disease, colon cancer, where these are legitimate concerns, and everybody's got people in their lives, usually themselves too, where this is a concern. If you Google a handful of walnuts a day and heart disease, or Google a handful of walnuts a day and colon cancer, it's amazing. Do it. I'll stop at that. The other good news I bring is the combination of money, and I'm not sure were you kind of shocked that Rhule, all of a sudden Rhule say, hey, money's not a problem anymore? What's the deal with that? Do we know the
The deal is he was possibly going to be courted for another job, and then all of a sudden some money showed up.
You don't know where.
Well, I mean, I think it's from an assortment of deep-pocketed people.
Yeah. And I was always wondering, Warren Buffett is a Husker fan. He is. And he went there. But he's kind of quiet about these kind of contributions he made. But you're right. It was major donors. And that's great. But here's the thing. There is so much love. And this is where having good people running the programs. I think they're good people running just about all of Nebraska's programs. And if you look at the spirit on the team, just the love the players have for each other and their coaches, it's very significant. You combine that in money. I'll give you an example. Emmett Johnson. I mean, did anybody think Kalkbrenner would stay as long as he did? They took care of him, and there was a lot of love he had for his coaches and his teammates, and it was big. Emmett Johnson, should he go pro? Yeah, probably. But they make it worth his while with all the love he has on the team and the feeling like, hey, next year could really be the year. Would you agree? There's a decent chance he might come back. And even with our quarterbacks have love for each other. I mean, that's obvious if you look at it. If we take care of him, and I'm talking about Latif, and I think we probably will. Why not have both of them come back? And knowing that, hey, Dylan, if he's healthy, he'll probably go pro after his next. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the women's basketball and volleyball, there's love on the team there.
Yeah.
It's great to see.
It is good. Have you been pimping since Ben Pippin? I looked up your thing here. Thank you very much for the health tip. All right, so let me ask you this question. You can only pick one. More likely, both quarterbacks return next year, or Emmett Johnson returns. You can only have one.
Okay, more likely. I think that's a great question because I think it's real close. If Emmett, for the right price, I think it's maybe more likely with Emmett, but I think there's a decent chance with both. Would you agree with that?
No.
Okay.
I think there's a better chance of both quarterbacks come back than Emmett.
Yeah.
I hope Emmett goes pro.
Yeah, for him, I would tend to agree,
Yeah.
and that's a good point. And I think what Dylan is, there's so much family involved here, but for the team this year, I don't think there's any question Latif is a better fit. Would you agree with that?
Yes. Matt Rhule. So you can't talk about Latif without talking about Dylan, but he said something yesterday, and I know it's a little bit of the game plan and what Penn State is going to throw at you, but he talked about making a play
Mhm.
when pressure is on, and then he said make a play with a run when you have to reverse out of things. So, yes, for the current roster, Latif's probably a better fit than Dylan, but there's not a huge gap other than Latif gives you more mobility and he offers the chance to be more creative. But I say this, you got 2 games, just everybody enjoy the next 2 games, but whoever has the ability to control the middle of the field as the quarterback in Nebraska should be the starting quarterback.
And the thing to know about Latif is he's a 4-star, and he was a 4-star as a pro-style quarterback. I mean, you look at his numbers in high school. He was a great thrower, and he ran some. Which is what. Let me tell you something. Think of the 2 best quarterbacks maybe on the planet the last 20 years: Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Is that a fair statement?
There'd be a guy in Kansas City I might throw in there.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That's good too. That's good too. But here's
Can't
right.
forget Tyler Thick.
But here's the thing: put Brady and Manning on this Husker football team with the pressure they were under, particularly the pass.
Hey. Okay.
Okay. No,
I used to
that thought,
picture
Mike, please.
Tebow running
Mike, finish the thought.
Tom's offense.
Can you finish the thought, Mike? If you put Peyton Manning
They're
on
not
this,
mobile. They're not mobile.
sure.
Yeah.
They'd be running for you. You got to protect them.
But they would be able to throw
And,
along.
say what you want about Dylan. He did not have much protection.
No. To have a quarterback like Dylan, you got to be pretty good at tackle. But there would also be, if we're going to play this little experiment, pimping since been pimping, you would have the ability to throw deep and stretch the field in ways that Dylan just has not gotten to that point yet.
But Dylan coming out of high school, the film, he threw deep better than anybody. And for some reason, we've been doing the shorter throw, or maybe the back shoulder. We've had bigger receivers, not particularly fast, where it's like, hey, play it up, they'll go get it. A lot of penalties, But look at Dylan coming out of high school as a 5-star. Hardly anybody threw deep better than him. It was fantastic. And we saw it.
Yeah.
We saw it in his first couple of games and in that spring game. I mean, he could do it. For whatever reason, they haven't done it.
Well, it also, whether they're not calling it because it's not a high percentage play, you have to execute it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing going back to last Saturday at the Rose Bowl. Nebraska executed exceptionally well. It wasn't some fancy game plan to just spin UCLA into the ground. Guys executed. That's the same thing that's got to happen Saturday night. If they execute and they're able to run the ball, then the quarterback is going to look really good. But everybody has to execute.
Yeah. How many deep throws against UCLA?
Well, not
one.
Yeah, but there.
And he can do it.
Yeah,
He
it
can
is
do
there. It is there. I wonder if that'll be an interesting wrinkle that'll be added, that they will take a big boy shot downfield. Mike, thanks for the phone call. I appreciate it. Looking at the walnuts. I like walnuts, especially this time of the year. They used to be in the Sharp household. Yep. It was just a Christmas time thing.
My search history is
good for
funny
you.
because it goes from handful of walnuts over to Emmett Johnson mock draft. That's why does this guy care about colon cancer? And then also at the same time thinking about the third a running back being taken in the 3rd round. Ball's in your court though, Gary. You didn't answer Mike's question. Would you rather have Peyton Manning or TJ Latif on this Husker football team? It's a tough decision.
How about Michael Vick
Really
running
tough
the old
decision.
school Nebraska offense? We can always play that
Yes.
game.
I'd like
Manning,
to see
Manning can't do the triple option.
I'd like to see Kurt Dukes in this offense.
Who would do better, Andrew Luck or TJ Latif in this offense?
I'd like to see Joel Cornwell in this offense. I'd like to see Ben Roots. I'd like to
Nice.
maybe see Todd Grugganano.
I like this. I just go with Joe Gans.
That's a
Hell,
good one.
why don't we just say
Love Joe Gans.
what
That's
about
one I know.
what about Jeff Sims, who is
Stop.
who is returning to Boulder this weekend? Arizona State plays
Wow.
at Colorado.
Oh, what
Do
if he
you
has a
think
big
Arizona
game?
State knows the lore of that?
Yes.
Of that, you think they know that the fan base know? No, not
all you
the
got to do
team.
is go on YouTube or on TikTok and Jeff Sims Colorado, and you will see where essentially Jeff Sims' Nebraska career came to an end.
Basically. I mean, he got hurt and he was terrible. He was so bad. Gus Johnson was
Yeah.
saying they should bench him.
But that touchdown run in the 3rd quarter, that was Jeff Sims. Okay.
Isn't that the epitome of his entire career? You go, that interception against Minnesota was so bad. But did you see the runs? Did you see the runs in the first drive? That guy hit his
Good
over.
for him. He's looked okay. I mean,
Yeah, he's played.
He wasn't.
He got
you know
his
what,
jersey retired.
He could have. When things went south here, and he became a punching bag. He could have been a complete idiot.
Yeah.
And just caused all kinds of problems. Everybody said that he was a good teammate. You could tell that he was going through it. So I'm fine. But yeah, he returns to Colorado, take on Dion this weekend. Watch, he'll go and light up Colorado. We'll go, oh, where was that 2 years ago? That would have been nice and handy.
Have you seen? So you've watched him play. Why is his last name on his jersey so small? Have you seen that?
Isn't that an
Adidas thing?
Isn't that Arizona State jersey thing?
Yeah.
It is so. It's disgusting how just tiny little baby font.
Scadaboo's name last year was small. I
Yeah.
think that's a
just their
jersey. I think that's a jersey
They
thing.
got to figure that out, man. You can't be a
Definitely
a
on the top of
program
Kenny's
that wants
list.
respect and have small last names.
You're gonna lose your mind when you see Penn State doesn't have names on the back of their jersey Saturday
I'm
night.
not,
And no logos on the
because then
helmets.
Notre Dame fans are going to get at me now and be like, "You don't understand the tradition of it." Like, no, I'm not. I don't need last names on jerseys. But if you're going to put last names on jerseys, don't do itty bitty baby font. Big font.
Maybe go to my friends at Kugler Vision, get your eyes fixed.
I think my eyes are pretty good actually. Out of all the things, all the ailments that I have,
You're
my
young, though.
eyes have never really been a problem.
Do your parents have good eyes?
Yes,
Oh, then you should be okay.
but dad needs readers. And mom now every time I see her, the font on her text messages on her iPhone just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
You're gonna get there someday.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
You think Nebraska can use James Franklin to their benefit Saturday night? So James Franklin, if you missed it yesterday, has a new job.
Yes.
He's the new head coach at Virginia Tech. Do you think that James Franklin will be and he will start talking to some Penn State coaches and players now that he has secured a job, that maybe he disrupts some things and all of a sudden people are thinking elsewhere, and we say, thank you, James Franklin, to get back at Penn State. Now, this week as well, when the story is James Franklin gets hired yesterday, but then it's like, man, look at Penn State negotiating $40 million less.
Yeah.
He says, whoa. I'm the story here. Terry, what are you thinking? Do you like Blacksburg compared to State College?
Do you think he's bringing
Lane Stadium compared to Nittany Stadium?
They get to Happy
Or
Valley.
Penn State Stadium?
You get to Happy Valley, and you're like, "Oh my God, where's Allen? Where's Singleton? Where did they go? Why are they not on the field? What's going on, Jim?"
I would be curious though if this, I think James Franklin was fired early because of his personality.
Yeah.
If there are players from Penn State or coaches that follow him to Blacksburg, because I think if not a lot of people come with him or rejoin him, that kind of tells you everything you need to know about working for him or playing for him. I mean, I think it's a great PR hire for Virginia Tech. I think the optics, you have to, at Virginia Tech, where they need to get Lane Stadium rocking again, they hang on to Frank Beamer like we do Tom Osborne around here. But Lane Stadium is a great place for a game. And Virginia Tech, the coaches they've had lately, you have to Google them.
Yeah.
Post Frank Beamer. You don't have to Google James Franklin. So it's a great PR optic move. I just wonder, what are the 12 games like? Because I don't think Franklin all of a sudden in-game changes. But it may be different. So I think there are some coaches in college football that are better when they are at programs where you're the underdog. Matt Rhule may be that. We don't know. He hasn't been here long enough for me to say that. But there are some coaches that when they reach a program that the standards are either unattainable or ridiculous, but the standards are much higher from where you came from, you are not a good fit. You might be a good football coach, but you're not a good fit for that particular school, that you're better when you got like an underdog program that is not the top dog, and you can kind of sneak up and become a top dog, but you don't hang out there very long. You're frisky. You're very seductive in the ways you move. And, the Virginia Tech standards are much lower than the Penn State standards. And Franklin may be a better fit for Vanderbilt and Virginia Tech programs more than he is Penn State, because he couldn't get Penn State to be Ohio State, but he can get Virginia Tech maybe to be, I don't know, current Florida State or somebody else in the ACC.
Well, so James Franklin was 1-18 against top 10 Big Ten opponents. Luckily for him in the ACC, it's not as if you're going to be playing as many top 10 opponents in that conference. I think you're just talking about when there's lower standards, some coaches are better. And there's obviously just lower standards at Virginia Tech than there is
Well, I
at
think
Penn State.
maybe lower is not the right word. Maybe more reasonable standards.
Okay. I mean, yeah, no matter how you slice it, I mean, there are just some guys that are made that you can have those ridiculously high standards and they're made for the moment. But those guys are they're very few who are really like
the guy
that.
is Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
Mark Richt
Urban Meyer
left a high standard and he walked in the door and did that. Yeah. Urban Meyer to Ryan Day. Yeah. Some guys, those are the best of the best in the business. And some coaches are really good coaches. They're just at the wrong fit.
I think, though,
like Kellen DeBoer, DeBoer was really good at his previous 2 stops. Now he's at a place like Alabama. I mean, they're doing well. I mean, as long as they don't have a hiccup here, they should make the playoff. But still, I mean, the standard at Alabama compared to Washington is night and day and months apart.
Your point about Franklin maybe being a better fit at Virginia Tech than Penn State. Look at his 2023 recruiting class. He got 6 of the top 10 recruits from the state of Virginia. So that is, I mean, he's really good at recruiting there. And then you also bring up will some staff go over there? Will some players follow him? I saw a stat. It was Florida and LSU that they had. They didn't have a lot of guys who decommitted from those programs. Like they've been able to keep their recruiting classes pretty much intact. There were 17 players that decommitted from Penn State when James Franklin left. What that tells me is that, they're not committing to Penn State. They were committing to James Franklin. And you could say what you want about he got fired because of his personality and, there was a crossroads and all that and all the reporting that we've heard. Clearly, there are still a lot of recruits and a lot of people who believed in him and believed in his message. And so
I wonder, that's a good point. I wonder if it's also the calendar because Penn State won't have a football coach until for 2 weeks and you sign right afterwards.
Yeah.
So you also want to get a spot somewhere and not knowing what's going to happen at Penn State. And I don't know what the percentage, do you know what the percentage of those, what'd you say, 17 decommitted?
It was 17
How many
decommits.
have committed elsewhere?
I have no, I did not.
I mean, there might be some kids that keep their option open. Because I would think there's some uncertainty. Maybe the ones that stuck with them are legacy kids or people that are from the area.
It was a Penn State recruiting site. It was decommits since the firing of Franklin. Brian Kelly and Billy Napier had 0. Napier had 0 decommits. Kelly had 1 decommit. Franklin had 17. There's a Twitter account that is Penn State decommits, and it just tells you all of the decommits that Penn State has had. It hasn't been open since 2015, so that's funny. But I just think with Franklin, like when I see a stat like that, like I'm immediately communicated that. First off, if I'm a Penn State fan, that worries me. I'm like, why are people committing to my head coach that I just got rid of and they're not committing to my program? And I think like we've talked about this with Nebraska, right? Like it very much is a sign of health when you're committing to the program and not to the head coach.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. People commit to the head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not, unless you have a tie, you're local.
Well,
you commit to your position coach and your head coach.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that that's a novelty. Yeah, I mean that happens. But if I'm Penn State, like I would hope, like I would be more comparable to Florida and LSU, that there are, commits that don't care who the head coach is. They just want to go and play
CJ
football there.
Brownell disagrees with you. He's going to go to Ohio State.
He's the one. He's the one for Florida, which is kind of funny.
Nebraska is actually in a battle for a lineman that is between Nebraska and LSU has an interim coach. But he's also a kid from the South. So I think it's different when you are from the South.
Oh, God, yeah.
All right. Sam McEwen's coming up in the next hour. Lane Kiffin holds all the cards. Weird to have an off week. That might be the worst thing that could have happened to Ole Miss in this search. But Lane's family is going to Gainesville and Baton Rouge. Will they stay in Oxford? Love this time of the year. That's the domino that falls.
Oh, yeah.
The number 1 job open is LSU. The number 2 job, Penn State. I think the number 3 job's Florida.
Yeah, those 3.
But Lane is the domino. If Lane stays, next. And learn Bob Chesney. Not related to Kenny. Sam McEwen's coming up the next hour on 1620 The Zone. All right, we wait all year for the football season, and then before you know it, it is over. 2 more regular season games for Nebraska. Then 1 home game on Black Friday. Go to 1620thezone.com. Enter for your chance to win 2 tickets to the Ultimate Blur tailgate party. That's been a good time before games this year. So go to our website, 1620thezone.com. That is on Black Friday. That'd be a good way post Thanksgiving to celebrate for the 11 a.m. kick in Lincoln between Nebraska and Iowa to determine if you get to go to Florida, Nashville, or Vegas.
Pie for breakfast. Let's go.
You know a story that came out over the weekend that I'm really surprised hasn't gotten more run?
Is it a Pablo Torre story? Because that typically that's the type that fits that description.
It is not. What
Okay.
has he done lately?
Who
has he taken down lately?
I haven't been following. It's been a lot of the gambling stuff. He's all in on the. Honestly, one of the guys in his sights has been Ty Lue.
Whoa.
Yeah, because he's made some claims about Ty Lue in one of his latest episodes about gambling and whatnot, and one of them is the fact that Ty Lue was around a lot of the Chauncey Billups things that were going on, but he wasn't necessarily indicted or anything like that, or like caught.
Tyronn Lue doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do drugs.
So he's
which is crazy considering the teams that he was on at Nebraska. Playing with some of them dudes, I would have started drinking. But yeah, he's he came on after they won the championship in Cleveland. He came on and he said, "Yeah, I still haven't drank, smoked, or done drugs."
Yeah,
I don't think he's admitted doing drugs, but we just put 2 and 2 together.
That was Pablo's last kind of big news drop. Was Ty Lue is like best friends with Chauncey Billups, and he was in a lot of these things. And like in a lot of these areas. Other than that, he's been pretty quiet. They were doing something. I don't know. Katie Nolan was on with him, and they were talking about some weird stuff. So he's currently.
What weird stuff were they talking about?
Like the
actually got my interest
adult
now.
Film industry.
Well,
stuff like that.
Pull up a chair.
Yeah.
Can you bet on that as well?
Yes.
I don't think you can. I don't know if that's sanctioned.
Can we get a take 5 on
Hey,
it?
there's CBS this morning on Sundays, which is a great show, fabulous show. They had a big deal on 2 days ago that the futures market, the poly market, is going to overtake the stock market in 10 years with popularity.
Really?
Interesting.
Which now you can bet on everything. Like it doesn't just sports.
Yeah.
You can bet on like Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary. You can bet on what she might say. Like, is she going to reference, like, I don't think you can get money on the Epstein files, but let's say affordability. Okay. Does she mention affordability? Yeah. Like, so those markets.
That is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're going to this person was saying they're going to overtake them in 10 years on the stock market.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but have those people read the pamphlet? I mean, that's
good question.
That's
Morning, Mike.
Crazy. That's a whole other, like, I would never do that.
Well, they interviewed this guy and he was making $3,000 a week.
Jesus. Betting on what? On speeches and what they would say? And like,
you can bet on everything.
Yeah.
You can bet on futures.
We went into the wrong line of work.
Yeah. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'll just stick to my really crappy NBA bets and my underdog or my money line underdog.
Do the opposite.
College football. I'll stick to that. I'll blow my money that way. Not if the press secretary brings up homelessness.
You should try it though for one.
No,
I'm curious how you do.
I think this
now
is.
I'm trying to think what would be the what would be the question that she would bring up homelessness, because I don't think that's been a topic. That's not one of the top.
Just do $1
topics.
Science.
What do you think?
You can go on
$4.50?
you can go on Polymarket. Have you not been on Polymarket before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
But I've seen like the only time I've seen Polymarket.
They do a lot of futures. You probably see them more with sports, but it is like tomorrow night, the CMA Awards. You can bet on who's going to win.
So
they just have those.
It goes.
No. We got a pre-show tonight at 9, and then tomorrow the CMA Awards are going on. I will be preoccupied by basketball, but you bet I am going to be recording it.
Federal decision in December, 50 plus BPS decrease. Yes or no? 25 BPS decrease. The next bet is then 2026 Super Bowl champion. Mm-hmm. And then the next bet is Elon Musk number of tweets, November 11th through November 18th.
Yeah, there's there you could bet on what day the government would reopen.
What will
Like a
Trump
baby
say
pool.
during Saudi Prime Minister events on November 18? Thank you
Oh,
10
that's
plus
right.
times.
Today, he has him in the White House.
Abraham Accords, F-35,
CFP
Board
rankings
of
tonight.
Peace.
Oh, what? So
What
since
is
I follow this, F-35. What's the juice on that? Because we are selling some planes.
92%.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, that's a given. That's a given. So, but that's not where we were going here.
Are you on these markets? Have you put scratch on this
No,
stuff?
no, no.
Fascinating stuff,
But you got to. So CBS Sunday Morning, they did a whole thing on it, and I was convinced that this is like the next big thing in a decade.
Will anyone vote no to releasing the Epstein files? 70% chance it's a yes.
Oh, that's easy money.
Wow, you can bet who will vote yay on an Epstein disclosure / bill resolution in 2025, and you can bet on each individual voter.
Mm-hmm.
This is ridiculous. I like to gamble.
Ridiculously awesome.
This is a whole other. This is insane.
Okay. Well, sorry I did that. I threw you down the rabbit hole, and
no, I need to
all
get
the
off.
struggles that you're having now.
You've added to them.
1-800.
No, I'm smart enough to not
That's
bet on
all.
that stuff. I don't know anything about that stuff. I don't know anything about politics
Or the NBA
government.
is what you said earlier.
F-35. I thought, what is it? Is that another form of WD-40? I didn't know.
Okay.
One of your
But here's the
hotkeys.
story that I think kind of flew under the radar this weekend.
Oh, yes.
That actually involves Nebraska football.
Hmm.
Is anybody going to bring up the fact that Nico played with a concussion and continued to play against Nebraska in the Rose Bowl? How is this not a story? He was ruled out against Ohio State,
Right.
but they said he remained in the game with a concussion against Nebraska. Now, you recall, how many, you care about what, 17 times?
Yes.
It took some hits.
Why is this not a story?
When did he get it? Is my other question as well.
So this is when Saturday they ruled him out, when Pete Thamel tweeted out that Nico wasn't going to play because of concussion, I was like,
practice? That's what
wait a
I
minute,
thought.
he played the entire game. But then UCLA writers were saying that it happened during the game. So there's a hit late in the first quarter on that long drive that they think that's when he got concussed.
Oh my God.
But he played in the game with a concussion. This would appear to be a monster story. Maybe it's the fact of who he plays for, and they're not really a relevant football program. But Nebraska was playing against a quarterback who was concussed and continued to play, and I guess it was well known.
I also think too, what are you going to do? Instate another interim head coach? You know, I mean, at this point, it's UCLA's going to hire somebody completely. That's part of the reason why I don't think this is that big of a story. It's just because they have an interim, and maybe people don't think that.
So the interim was okay to have a guy that was playing with a
It's
concussion?
dumb. It's absolutely ridiculous that is. It should be a bigger story. And when he was ruled out against Ohio State, I immediately thought, did he get hurt during practice? Because I was like, this is something, by the way, too, that no one was indicating after the game either. Right? It wasn't as if they went and they said, "Oh, he was banged up, or he was this, or he was that."
No, but it happened during the game, and he continued to play.
I mean, Brian Dable, like, in part, he didn't lose his job just because of his handling of Jackson Dart and his concussion symptoms. But I assume that it's one of the bigger reasons of, like, dude, you are being way too careless with our quarterback here, and somebody that we want to have a future with. You're not allowed to do that. It's completely reckless by UCLA, and it's dangerous. It's super dangerous. So yeah, no, it's insane.
No, is he out for this? Do they play this weekend? It'd be weird to have a bye weekend in the next to last weekend, like Ole Miss and Kiffin, the fam, being able to get on a private plane and go to Baton Rouge and do a tour. Like having a late off week, like Nebraska's bye weeks kind of fell in the right spot
They
after
really
Michigan.
did.
They fell after, a trip out west. But to have like your next to last weekend of the season, everybody got 2 byes this year. To have your bye week is kind of odd. Does UCLA play this weekend?
Washington, they host them. 9.
Oh, yeah, you said the Jetfish Bowl.
9.
Oh, that's right. It's after the Nebraska.
Mhm.
Well, No Saturday Night Live this week?
I guess not.
I guess not.
Because you got a doubleheader on NBC.
9:30.
Because that's the game right after Nebraska and.
Mhm.
Ooh, how would you like to be WWT? So they get the game on. They won't even have like a late night newscast, will
No,
they? To
they're
show
done.
highlights and
Yeah.
stuff.
No.
It's an
Huh.
easy day over there.
I'm
home.
trying to see if there's an SNL episode this week.
I
There's
doubt.
not.
Well, if there's going to be a doubleheader,
I
because
don't think there is.
when you're kicking at 9:30 Central Time,
Yeah, you're not
I'm
doing
going to say,
SNL 2 in the morning.
we're going to take SNL off for a couple of weeks for Thanksgiving.
Their next show is December 6th.
Okay.
So they've had some pretty good SNL. I've been watching because it's a YouTube show. It's not a television show. I've been watching some of their clips and they've been incredibly funny as some of the things that I've seen. So shout out some of the new hires that they've got. I've enjoyed watching that. No.
I've only watched the Glenn Powell stand up from
I haven't
this
seen
past
that.
week.
Have you seen
'Cause-
the Sebastian Maniscalco impression that Marcelo did?
No, I haven't watched much of it.
It's
I've-
really
I've-
good.
But I did see Glenn Powell hosted this past week. And so he was supposed to host like 4 years ago to promote Maverick.
Okay.
Because other than Lauren Michaels told him the only reason people know you is because of Maverick back then. But then Maverick, remember, got pushed because of COVID.
Yes.
And so they banged him. And he told this story about he had a celebration when he got the phone call about being asked to host SNL. There was a UPS driver that had stopped by his house.
Okay.
And so everybody was excited in his house and they took pictures with the UPS driver. And then all of a sudden, Glenn Powell didn't host Saturday Night Live because Lauren Michaels canceled him because Maverick wasn't coming out. Top Gun was not coming out. And he said, nobody will know who you are. And so now 4 years later, he's back.
That's
and he
awesome.
made this joke about the UPS guy was going around probably telling everybody that Glenn Powell is a liar. He flew the UPS guy
Really?
to New York City and he was in the audience for when Glenn Powell hosted SNL this past weekend.
Glenn Powell from The Expendables? That guy?
Glenn Powell from Running Man.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie?
I don't think it's out yet.
I think I thought
No, it came out this weekend.
It
It
did?
bombed at
Yeah.
the box office.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Only 17 million.
Yeah, it wasn't very. We've had some bombings at the box office. this
Maybe you
go
shouldn't
around.
remake Arnold movies. They're classics.
You ever see the Bruce
That's a tough
Springsteen-
one. I've not seen that yet.
Yeah, like Total
it might be-
Recall, I never
Today's
saw it.
today's a cheap movie day. Yeah, that would remaking Running Man would be a tough one because the original was a little bit unique and fairly popular.
Yeah, Richard Dawson should have won an Oscar for it.
Now,
Played
there-
himself.
now there's an interesting take.
I have no interest in seeing that. I have.
But watch the original if you haven't.
The running and exploding and all the just pure, like all it is just action. I'm just
Now
not,
Plane
I'm not into
Zero.
it. No, I'm okay. I'd rather watch Zootopia 2. That looks
Also
like
a
it's-
banger.
That looks like it's gonna be a great movie.
When Caper Judy gets into
When does
this time.
Sausage Party 2 come out?
That's come. They're making Sausage
I know.
Party 2.
Yes.
Awesome. That's incredible. That's a prime. I'm drunk. Let me put on a movie.
Or you know what? It is a prime take a young high school student too because you got nothing else to do.
Is that what you did?
Nothing wrong with
Sat in
that.
the front row because the theater was sold out on opening night of Sausage Party.
What did you do in the last scene of that movie? Did you cover his eyes? Did you pick him up? Did he say, "Don't tell your mother"?
Never talked about it again. Well, Mom was actually there with him.
Oh, great.
Even better.
It's a learning experience.
I thought that falafel was innocent.
There is
I don't
no-
know.
Listen. You go to movie theaters nowadays. First of all, you might not even have to pay for a ticket. There's hardly anybody that works the little gate or the
Okay.
little
That's a good point.
desk. You just walk right in. They don't go, "How old are you?" You know, just waltz yourself
I'm
into a
51.
rated R movie
Mhm.
or PG-13 or whatever it is.
that
Most of the
had,
people working at theaters now are like, "Hey, just buy our popcorn. You already bought an expensive ticket. Do what you want to do.
Enjoy the
Just
film.
don't get arrested." Okay, don't put your feet on the chairs. Don't be a pain in the butt in the theater. All right. But what do you ever want to do? Once you're inside, it's all fair game.
I went to a movie theater about a month ago, and they looked like they were unhappy that I was there. They looked.
You in particular, or just they didn't like
no,
their job?
don't like the zone?
Not me in
F those
particular.
guys.
Like just the fact that somebody had showed up at 1:00 on a Wednesday. They're like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you working? What are you?
Because
why-
nobody is
Why are you
here.
making us pop the popcorn right now?"
You ought to go to today when they have the cheap movie.
Mhm.
You would
That's the
be
deal.
you'd be by far maybe by about 70 years the youngest person in the theater.
That's awesome. Here's the thing: the old people, they don't talk during the movie, and they're not going to sit directly in front of me.
Oh, when they do talk, they talk very, very loud.
'Cause they can't
I haven't
hear.
had a bad experience with senior citizens at a movie theater. My dad is now a senior citizen at a movie theater, which he is stoked about because he gets the discounts, and it's awesome. He thinks it's so cool.
You
And
should
so
go today. It's going to be gloomy.
I
not
probably
chilly.
will go today. I want to see the Springsteen movie.
That do well at the box office?
I have no idea.
I don't think anything
forgot
does
about
well
it,
at
which
the box office.
I mean, it's football season. That's my
It
excuse.
is football season. Let's come back and talk more about football. Sam McEwen's
Ooh,
going to
like
join us coming up at the bottom of the hour with a thought or two on where Nebraska is. Really odd resume that Nebraska has as they are 7-3 going to take on Penn State. And some other things that are going on, including the UC investment, $2.4 billion. Nebraska hasn't said anything. Why? Troy Dannon's been a little busy. He'll be busy again today. But the investment into the Big Ten that USC and Michigan are balking at, and now it's been paused. Nebraska hasn't said anything. I wonder what people feel about Nebraska and that involvement. We'll get into that and much more with Sam McEwen. He'll come up at the bottom of the hour on 1620 The Zone. Whoa. So Creighton basketball is the king of the Peacock. All their appearances on the Peacock. And by the way, have fun finding ESPN Plus because tomorrow night's Creighton North Dakota game is on ESPN Plus. Somebody just alerted me. NBC Sports Network is back. It went away for a while and it's come back and it's on YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
So Nebraska, New Mexico, and Kansas City Thursday night is slated to be on Peacock. But here it said that it's going to be carried on NBC Sports Network.
How about that?
So you may not have to have the Peacock. Well, you already have the Peacock.
You should have the Peacock.
But Nebraska, New Mexico might be on YouTube TV on Thursday night, according to this schedule. So welcome back, NBC Sports Network.
Florio and Chris Sims went live on NBC Sports Network
Did you
yesterday.
just throw a pick to Oklahoma?
Wow. Then Florio just slammed the NFL?
Probably. He probably dug up some court documents and absolutely murdered them and told you how much money they're going to lose and told you why John Gruden will never get hired by an NFL team because of it.
Hey, this could be a big listen to the Creighton radio broadcast tomorrow night. People may say, screw ESPN Plus. You get to hear John Schreiner and Nick Ball, so that's worth it. What do they have? 2 games on ESPN Plus?
This I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no clue.
But Peacock, man, Paul Burmeister came into town and did the game Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? One of the voices of NBC Sports and Peacock, because he does the Notre Dame games.
Mm-hmm.
He comes in and does a Creighton basketball game.
I'm on my current rant of like I hate streaming services and I'm really annoyed at streaming services and I don't like that I keep having to pay for more and more streaming services.
4 channels.
And then even when I do pay, they still have ads on Netflix, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that's all a sham.
It is all sham.
sense upgrading.
It is all sham. And then like I'm subscribed for a very long time. Then they keep raising the prices. And not only do they raise the prices, and they tell me, hey, we're going to hinder your ability to enjoy the apps that you have. Peacock might be the only one where I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of cool with you.
Shout out Peacock.
I think Peacock makes at least the product is good. At least it's a quality product. Like they have good announcers and good cameras and good shots and good production.
Yeah, the Creighton game on Friday night looked fantastic.
It does. I don't know why. Does ESPN not watch Peacock and say, why does their picture look better?
Well, I think
how can we remedy that?
I don't know enough about the inside of that. I know that NBC's and Fox's 4K is somewhat better than ESPN's 4K.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know enough about the technology, but like people have commented like on Reddits and stuff about the difference, and it's too mumbo jumbo for me. I just know what my eyes say, that it looks a little bit crisper on those 2 networks compared to ESPN.
Spurs on NBC tonight, I'm pumped.
The Peacock and the Apple TV, their picture on sports looks really true. That Nebraska, New Mexico is on NBC Sports Network. That is a win-win for people that are boycotting streaming services.
I'm almost done with Netflix. I might be done with Netflix. I was watching.
You pay for your own Netflix?
I do. I was watching.
Did you not watch Black Rabbit?
I watched Monday Night Raw yesterday.
Selling Sunset?
Because it was John Cena's last Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
That he'll ever be a part of. And so I came back. I was out and I came back and I was kind of skipping through it. And it took me 45 minutes to skip through a Monday Night Raw, because even when you go back and you watch the replay, you still run into about 10 different ads and they're all 3 minutes long. And you're like, why am I watching cable television right now? Why is this is cable? I have to sit through 3 minutes of advertising. This is ridiculous.
I would write a letter. That's what people do today. They write a letter to the public pulse. And they're upset at things. I would write a letter. I would sit down today and I would write a letter to Netflix.
That sounds like a waste of time. It sounds like the biggest waste.
It actually may get more traction because the person, whoever fields those at Netflix, may go, "What
is it handwritten or typed?
Read it. Yeah, you gotta handwrite it.
You first off, they
give them a piece of your mind.
They are not reading letters. Okay, they probably read.
Are you saying that Santa Claus doesn't read letters this time of the year?
I'm not saying that, and I'm not comparing Santa Claus to Netflix. Santa Claus is a great dude.
Santa Claus is on Netflix.
Okay.
Santa Claus.
Okay,
great defensive tackle.
I have an issue with something. The Dick's Sporting Goods commercial that they've been doing for Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. What are we doing with Santa Claus being skinny and having
Ozempic? Everyone's doing it.
This is ridiculous.
Not saying I agree with it.
Santa cannot be hot. All right, Santa cannot be skinny. Santa.
You not seen the John Travolta Santa Claus?
No, Santa Claus is traditionally
Excellent
a bigger
point.
man, right? He's He's your bigger grandfather. You know, he's a nice guy. You sit on his lap. You got to have a lot of surface area. He's really sweet. I don't need a millennial, hot, skinny Santa Claus.
You can't sit on his lap.
That takes away the point.
Seems like you're jealous.
Mhm.
No,
There's a lot of jealousy coming.
I thought you would support him getting in shape.
Weird that you're jealous of Santa Claus.
Maybe Santa doesn't want to lose a foot.
Why are we fat shaming Santa Claus? Why are we making him lose weight?
Nobody fat
That's
shamed.
Santa.
He just saw that he doesn't want to drop dead of a heart attack. or
Why
stroke.
are we taking money out of people's pockets just because they are in great shape? They can't play the role of Santa.
Mhm.
But we're taking money out of the pockets of the people who are a little bit bigger, who have been playing Santa Claus.
They're going to continue to play Santa
Yeah.
Claus. Santa Claus is whatever you want to make Santa Claus.
No, I disagree.
Yeah.
Santa Claus is a bigger man who lives in the North Pole. He's not this,
No, what if
wears-
you're,
Wait, he doesn't live in West
what if
Palm
you're-
now?
What if you're trying to tell your kids, hey, you gotta get in shape, you
Yeah.
gotta eat well,
Mhm.
and then they all of a sudden their favorite thing is a fat guy.
we have Santa Claus wearing the fake glasses that Dylan Raiola was wearing. You know, the non-prescribed
Wait, are you
sunglasses.
saying Dylan Raiola might be Santa?
So what? Wait, you think things can change? We're adapting.
Not Santa.
We're
The world
healthier.
is changing.
This is ridiculous. We get all upset about college football changing, but we don't care that Santa Claus is changing in
Good
front
for
of our
Santa.
eyes.
Good for Santa.
I don't think it's good for.
What if he
the
looks like
rules-
Billy Bob
The
Thornton?
rules of health have
At
never
the end
applied
of the
to Santa.
day, what is Santa Claus delivering gifts? Is he delivering joy?
Well,
He can be skinny, he can be fat.
Exactly.
Not all, you know what? Sometimes not all fat guys are funny. Sometimes fat guys are miserable. Sometimes it takes the skinny guy to be funny with jokes and, deliver jolly to everyone out there and happiness around the world. It doesn't matter if you're fat or skinny.
Look at Joe
Okay?
Thomas. He looks
It's-
great.
And
now.
at
He
the end of the
lost
day,
weight.
it's about the suit.
not my Santa.
It's about the suit.
not my Santa.
It's the suit.
Not my Santa. That Dick Santa, not my Santa.
What if Jesus was fat?
I'm not okay, but that's a.
What a hell of an offensive lineman he could be.
I don't know how to respond.
Would you fat shame Jesus?
First off, Jesus and Santa are very different.
Or
okay?
a nose and a 3-4
yeah.
Don't try telling that to a Catholic kid right now that's in school.
tackled by
They
Christ.
think they're the same thing.
I hope they don't think Santa and Jesus are the same thing.
This time of the year, if you're like a first grader,
Mhm.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
You just think they just put on a different costume.
One's
No.
the OC, one's the DC.
They're first off, their teachers should be teaching them that Santa Claus and Jesus are not the same thing. Secondly, Jesus was a historical figure that we.
So was
have,
Santa.
There are some things that Santa Claus has done that Jesus has never done.
It's true. I have seen the movies.
I'm sorry. Did Santa Claus turn water into wine?
But he hasn't tried.
Are we?
He had
see,
milk and cookies. He
Has-
doesn't drink.
Has Jesus ever had Rudolph the reindeer guide his sleigh at night as he whisks his way across the world delivering presents?
Could Santa
I
hit
mean,
a curveball?
Jesus did deliver a lot of presents. That is kind of the whole. A lot of the New Testament.
Jesus
is him doing
delivers
that.
365 days a year. Santa
There you
Claus
go.
just one day. That's
Yeah.
the difference. Yeah.
Exactly.
Go Irish.
All right, Sam McEwen.
Santa Claus is a Roldis Chapman, and Jesus Christ is
should be good.
he's Greg Maddux. Maybe I should have picked a different closer. He's
Wow.
I was just making a closer reference. Sorry. He's
No.
Mariano Rivera. He's Mariano Rivera. Santa Claus is Mariano.
No.
Too late.
Pick somebody that doesn't have any allegations against them,
Is
please.
Trevor Hoffman? Is that?
That might be a safe one.
okay.
But he came out to Hell's Bells. Would Santa come out to
Does
hell?
Santa Claus kiss his mom on the lips like a Roldis?
I have no idea.
Does he? Yeah, that's the wrong. I don't believe.
I just picked a closer. I wasn't thinking.
I don't.
wasn't thinking.
I
all
haven't
right?
been here for the lifetime of Santa Claus, but I don't think there have been any calls to the North Pole about domestic violence towards Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus.
I just picked a closer. I just picked the
He
first
beats
one that
Mrs.
came in my
Claus?
mouth.
What? Okay,
Damn.
Santa Claus is classe.
Stop.
There's
On
a,
the
there's,
Poly
a,
Market?
there's a betting thing on the side. Will he skip Johnny's house? Hell yeah, for 5K. All right, we're way past this. Sam McEwen's going to join us next on 1620 The Zone. On a Tuesday that includes a chat with our good friend from the Omaha World Herald, Sam McKeown. Good morning, Sam.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Before we start about the bye week and then the trip out to the East Coast, the story around the Big Ten, two things yesterday. One, that they are all behind the 2014 playoff. The other is, with those two numbers, the UC investments tied to the pension fund of the University of California, about the investment of $2.4 billion into the Big Ten. Michigan and USC have been the most vocal of opposition, and it's now been paused. I think they were going to have a vote later this week. Do we know Nebraska's position on this, or why isn't around here this more of a discussion?
We probably haven't done a good enough job of reporting on it. So I think Nebraska's in favor of it. I think the only two schools that are against it are USC and Michigan, although in theory, you could have proxies that are sort of saying, hey, you guys step up since you don't have presidents. And it makes it easier for you guys to, to sort of take the shots because there's no university presidents involved with those two schools. But it's hard to. I think part of what it is it's designed to infuse cash to all 18 universities to cover payments that debt that might be out there, and I don't know that Nebraska has as much as some other schools do. In fact, I'm very confident of that. But Nebraska has a stadium renovation I'm sure they'd like to do. And so now that you have to raise your own revenue to share with the student athletes, I think there's a desire to get infusion in, because some of these schools, they might be able to sustain and compete for a little bit of time, but then ultimately they're going to run into a wall where they have their debt that they have to pay off, and they have this revenue that they have to share with the athletes, and they're having to make hard choices, and then you have to further complicate your individual debt story at each individual university. And so I think that this deal is designed to try to be a rising tide that lifts all boats. Obviously, when you have a pension system involved, I mean, there's risk. Obviously, it goes without saying. The pension system, I assume, is a tie to a market. Those are their investments made in the stock market. So I think that's probably some of it. I think Michigan and USC are opposed to it. Their boards are opposed to it. Both schools don't have presidents. So, I could see there being, it's on pause now. They're going to go back to the drawing board, I guess. What I find interesting is that the primary voice against this is somebody that's, clearly a political person in Michigan, and claiming that Michigan might leave the Big Ten, if this were to go through, and obviously that's not going to happen. So, the idea that we're amplifying threats that probably aren't going to occur is interesting. But it's been an interesting time in college sports. As far as 2014 playoff, I don't know where that's going to go. I mean, seems like a large number to me, but once you invited a playoff, you immediately create this bar of like anybody who makes the playoff has had a successful season, and anyone who doesn't hasn't. And at 4 teams, you could almost argue, well, only 4 teams made it. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But now that it's 12, it feels a little bit more like, well, if you didn't make the playoff, and then then it went to, now you want to try to expand it out so that you're getting 5 or 6 Big Ten teams in the playoff, or 5 or 6 or 7 SEC teams, and a handful of Big 12 teams. I understand the logic behind it. I think 16 is the right number, but I do understand the logic behind why they're approaching it the way they are.
Yeah, and it also seems like USC and Michigan, if you read between the tea leaves, are kind of out on this, private investment for different reasons. Sam, I want to ask you about yesterday at the press conference. It's a Penn State question, but it's not the type of Penn State question you think. Matt Rhule was talking yesterday, and just about Joe Paterno, and he said, and this kind of caught me by surprise, but got me thinking. He goes, Joe Paterno, Coach Paterno didn't talk a ton, right? I mean, he wasn't the most vocal guy, but he had an aura about him, the way he walked, his presence, and when he did talk, it mattered. My question to you is, Sam, with the modern athlete and in the modern day of college football, is that type of coaching gone? Can you do that nowadays with how important relationship building and how it just seems like athletes in this generation, need to be at times nurtured and really related to as much as possible?
That's a really good question, because I think what you're asking isn't so much, does the coach's words matter, but does a coach have to constantly reinforce the student athlete?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Paterno might, might say one speech a week, and it's like, all right, he's talking, shut up. These are words from on high or whatever. That's a good point. I don't know. I think that's a good question. There's probably a handful of coaches left where if they do that, I think maybe it still works.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there's that many, and they're probably seasoned veterans. So I've seen the St. John's documentary with Rick Pitino, and he actually talks quite a bit in it. But I don't know if Rick Pitino is doing that all the time and not in front of the cameras, and so it's possible that like a Rick Pitino could do that. But one could argue that Hurley is the best coach in college basketball. I get the impression that he never stops talking to his players. Like it's a running dialogue all day long, and they might even hope that he stops talking to them. So I get the impression that a guy like that is just carrying on all day. Like he can't stop. And so I suspect that most coaches today are like that. Like there's more coaches on the end of like Kenny Dillingham. You can tell that Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, he's a good coach, is probably talking to his players like nonstop, sending them messages, getting them together, getting them back on task. And I think that's probably the model today. And that probably has something to do with, modern young folks. And I've got a teenager. They're pretty glued to their phone sometimes. And so in order to get their attention, you got to be in constant communication with them so that they understand what's outside the bubble that they exist in. That's a good question. I suspect that it's very hard to be like that now. Very hard.
Can Nebraska win without an All-American type performance from Emmett on Saturday night?
Yes, they can. There's always that special teams touchdown. If you throw that on the board, Emmett can go 50, he can go 22 carries for 73 yards. They can win the game with an off schedule score. So you can, when they won there in 2013, Kenny Bell had a kickoff return for a touchdown, and that's how they won the game. And so they obviously won in overtime, but the point being, they're not winning that game unless Kenny Bell returns a kickoff for a touchdown. So that's kind of how that happens. And Nebraska now has that in its back pocket. They always have that special teams card that they can play. And I don't know that that'll be happening on Saturday. My hunch is that Emmett will have to get 30 carries, 6 catches, and 150, 160 total yards in order for Nebraska to win. But I'm guessing everybody down there would love a special teams score. I don't know that I see a defensive score on the docket. I think a lot of these teams have decided that the best way to play Nebraska is to run the football and to give it to your running back. And so Nebraska has not generated a lot of takeaways in recent weeks. That's been hard for them. They haven't had a lot of opportunities to do so. I could how many takeaways they have in the last 4 games? Probably not a ton. It's just getting hard to do it. It's getting hard to accomplish because a lot of these teams aren't putting the ball in harm's way that much. And so, I think they'll have to do it with a special team score, or Emmett Johnson will have to have a whale.
This Penn State was in the Big Ten East, but do you see this as being a Big Ten West style football game?
As it turns out, yes, I think so. I think Penn State was probably the most. Michigan was too. Yes, I do. I mean, I think the way that Penn State plays, and it probably fits at this moment most closely with the style of play is Minnesota. They're better at it than Minnesota, or have been over the last several years. But yeah, I think that's an accurate statement. The majority of the league now, what's changed the league the most are those teams out west. They play a little bit differently, a little bit more spread ball, a little bit more screen game, a little bit different, a little bit better receivers than most of the Big Ten. For what it's worth, I thought Nebraska played USC real well Granted, they lost the game late, but I thought Nebraska matched up actually quite well with that. I think Penn State is a harder matchup because they're going to bring tight ends onto the field. They'll compress the field, and then they're going to try to punch holes in Nebraska's front. So just like Michigan, they'll compress the field. They're going to run more motion than Michigan does, and they're going to have more offset guys than Michigan does. And they're going to try different kinds of play action passes than Michigan did. But you'll see very similar thought processes, and Nebraska's going to have to do a better job than it did against Michigan because Nebraska's offense isn't as good as it was back then. Like it's a little bit different. And if Nebraska goes to Happy Valley and scores 21, I think you should be happy. That's about what I think it's going to take to win out there. At least, maybe it'll take 24. We'll see.
So 21, are we talking like 21-17? You think in that range?
Yeah. Yep. I think so. I think what you kind of hope is that Penn State has long drives. They might score on a couple of those drives, but it's an 8-possession game. Maybe Penn State scores on 4 of those possessions. Maybe Nebraska scores on 4 of its possessions. But the difference is Nebraska gets one more touchdown than field goal. So I could see 21-20, something like that. So I think that's probably the way to go. I don't think it's going to get into the 30s. Penn State hasn't really been that kind of team in recent weeks. So low possessions should be a quick game. Shouldn't be a 4-hour deal unless it goes to OT. It's going to be a war of attrition. And Penn State's got a lot to play for. They want to play. They want to make a bowl. I don't think a lot of the players on that team, most of whom are seniors, give a crap who their new head coach is going to be. So they're going to play, and that's just what they're going to do. So I think they probably want to play for their coach, and they want to play for each other on senior day and all the rest. I think it's senior day. Maybe it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So I think they'll play real hard. And now with a win, under their wing from last week, they'll probably come in with some confidence. So I think it's a hard task for Nebraska. One of the harder games they've had this year.
I think I said it yesterday when Matt and I were talking. I think it's tougher than the Iowa game.
Yeah, me too. I think there's some motivation behind the Iowa game.
Yes,
that Nebraska is going to bring to that, and I think they've probably been preparing for it for a while. So I think. I know it's a short prep week. Physically, it'll be a toll that they have to deal with in terms of playing Iowa. But I think preparation-wise, they're going to be ready for Iowa. I'm not worried about that. I think they'll be prepared for what Iowa does, and they will play well against Iowa. Whether they win or not, I suppose, comes down to special teams. But I do think they'll play well against Iowa, irrespective of what happens this weekend.
You've sparked my interest here because you were describing the West Coast teams, and some of the things that you were saying about them, I thought applied to Nebraska. Sam, do you think Nebraska's built closer to some of those West Coast teams than they are Michigan?
Well, they don't want to be. I think that they could be in some ways. I think what keeps them from being what Michigan is, and Michigan has incorporated more spread tendencies with their new OC than they had in the past. And it's led to some turnovers, as maybe you saw. I think they would like to be a pro-style offense that surrounds a pro-style quarterback with all the weapons and then, plays from there and does all the things that you would do. Like, think of 06 Nebraska only with a stronger armed quarterback, which Dylan Raiola is a stronger armed quarterback than Zach Taylor. I think they would love that. Now, could you have spread tendencies? Could you build in some RPOs? Because that's what Dana Holgorsen does. Sure. But I think what they would love is that. Like, they'd love to have all the bells and whistles that they had in 06 or all the bells and whistles that they had around Taylor Martinez in 2010. Now, they weren't quite running a pro-style offense, but somewhat they were. And if you had all those kind of players, I think you would see an offense that is pretty dynamic in some ways. But they don't have all those players yet. And the players that they're honestly missing is they're missing a second running back. As good as Emmett is, you would love to have a change of pace guy. And then they're missing, additional tight ends. I think Heinrich Harburg's done a nice job of developing and coming along. But there were people before the season that were predicting he was going to have 40 catches. And it's the same people that predicted that Tanner Lee would throw for 4,000 yards. There's always this perpetual positivity around things that are unlikely to occur. And Heinrich Haarberg,
Good way to describe things.
like, I tried to say this, I'm like, guys, you guys got to be careful with saying that Heinrich Haarberg's going to get 40 grabs. Like, that's just not. Thomas Fedoni just went to the NFL and he didn't have 40. Like, just be careful with like the predictions, or like Archie Wilson's going to average 59 yards a punt. I'm like, guys, like most of the guys that come over from Australia are way older than him, and like he needs a year or two. Like, there's always this sense of putting the cart before the horse with Nebraska. And the reality is, and Rhule, I think, would tell you this in an honest moment of like where we want the roster to go. And by we, I'm saying, putting this in Rhule's voice, we're not there yet. We're on the journey to it. And yes, you've got to go win in year 3 because that's just kind of the trajectory of the deal, which they've done. And they could go 9-3, which would be absolute progress over last year.
Oh.
But like where he wants to take the roster, it's not all the way there.
Yeah.
Like Callahan had some rosters. Bill Callahan had a hell of a roster in 06. And they had a really good roster in 09 and 2010. And then maybe even again in 2014 and 2015. But they don't have all of those players yet. Like, how much better do you think this team would be if they had Alex Lewis at tackle? They'd be better.
Yeah.
They don't have all that.
Yeah, the roster that he strives for is probably 2 years away.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I know they wanted to be next year. I know very much. They were like, okay, time to go, time to get all these, these linemen, and let's go. And, you might be right. I think I lean a little bit more toward where you're at, but I could also see, and I've talked to people about this, of like, hey, 8 months with this defensive line and let them develop. Maybe by next year, Keona Davis and Williams Lanieri are second team All Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I think they're missing on the defensive side of the ball, and this is going to sound like a completely unfair comparison, they're missing what the Philadelphia Eagles have in their interior linemen. Now, the irony of that is both those guys went to the same school at Georgia. You need one of those kind of guys. You need a 6'5", 317-pound guy, which they had when they had Ty Robinson. And I think they kind of need that again. Like, they need somebody who can really, really disrupt things inside. And right now, they're doing that with a lot of shifts and stunts. Keona Davis is sort of a Russell Maryland type player, but I think you really need one of the giants. You need one of these giant guys if you're going to run that defense. Or you got to go to a four-man like Iowa, and all Iowa's guys are like 270, and they're all kind of active, but they have a straight-up four-man line. And Nebraska doesn't want to do that. Well, if you don't want to do that, then you better have one of these giants that can sit in the middle and create havoc. And I don't know. They're either going to have to go buy that guy, or they're going to have to they're going to have to try to develop Riley Van Poppel to be that guy. And I think they were hoping RVP would be that this year, and he's still on the journey to get there.
Yep. Sam, as always, appreciate safe travels out to the East Coast. Enjoy in one of your favorite places.
One of our favorites. Take care, guys.
So Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald. All right. When we come back, a lot of stuff that Sam said that sparked some conversation that we will get into in the next 2 hours. Brian Christopherson to stop by. We'll touch on Rhule talking about the class of 26 that had a decommit. Was not a surprise to Nebraska that the offensive lineman from New Orleans went to Mississippi State. The most important recruiting news over the weekend, though, Danny Odom reaffirming his commitment to Nebraska. So we'll get into the 26 class, which probably has one or two to be added, which would only be 12. It will not look good on the rankings because of the numbers, but will it look good on the field? That's something we'll touch on as we roll till 10 on 1620 The Zone. Oh, it's going to be an interesting day in Lincoln.
In what way?
Rodney Bennett. They're going to have the UNL faculty preparing for a no confidence vote against the chancellor. You ever met the chancellor?
He was my commencement speaker.
How was he?
I don't remember one word that he said. I'm going to be honest with you. It was not to dog on the guy or anything like that, but there wasn't really anything like too inspiring that I took away from his speech, where I was like, yeah, you tell me, Rodney, I'll go and do that.
Should have had Matt Rhule.
No, I mean,
inspired.
I'm a weirdo.
I know.
I like watching. There's some really great commencement speeches that like are on YouTube, and I've enjoyed watching them. And some of these speeches are very inspiring. And like there's one in Texas with an admiral. He gave an incredible speech. Lin-Manuel Miranda is giving out some like great speeches. I wanted to be inspired, and Rodney got up there, and I was like, that is the most like cookie cutter vanilla. Go and do great in the world, and remember Nebraska is awesome. So. No, and outside of that, I had never seen him or talked to him or anything like that at the time that he was.
You don't see him a lot.
I've never. I mean,
his name on that campus right now is not good amongst the faculty. I don't recall. I mean,
I saw
maybe
Ronnie
one or twice that the UNL faculty has done something like this, a no confidence vote, and this is all on the heels of the $27.5 million budget cuts that they've been working on for multiple months. It'll be an interesting day in Lincoln today.
I never
not non-athletic, which is a rarity.
It is a rarity. I never saw him on campus when I went to school. I saw Ronnie Green all the time. Like he'd be just walking around and doing stuff with students and just be in the union. You're like, oh, there's the chancellor. Never really saw Ronnie.
One of the things said yesterday by Matt Rhule, he was talking about hoping that TJ Lateef doesn't play it close to the vest. Isn't that Dana's thing? I don't think TJ Lateef can go all rogue. That's why I think you asked the question of Evan, or we were talking about expectations, and you would hope that they find a way to free up Emmett.
Yeah.
Also to get TJ to settle in and some new wrinkles. I think they will have a little bit, some new stuff, but you're now going against a defensive unit that has better athletes than UCLA, is better coordinated, will be able to adapt and adjust. So that appetizer that TJ Lateef got in the Rose Bowl was great. He got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then he got to sit on that appetizer, kept him a little full, and now he's ready for his first meal, and he gets that on Saturday night. But I have no expectations for TJ Lateef because you can't answer me this question. Will Nebraska be able to run the ball? If Nebraska is able to run the ball consistently, and especially the way they were on first down against UCLA, TJ Lateef could cook. And he could cook in a big way. But we'll see. I can't wait to see this test.
Do you have
by his OC who will be tested and his second time starting quarterback that'll be tested.
Do you have no expectations for TJ, but do you have a lot of expectations for Dana?
Yes, in the bye week.
Because I have a ton of expectations.
Yeah.
For Dana.
Like I said, new wrinkles, kind of free him up a little bit. What will they do with Emmett? Because they showed, now again, everything was execution. Some of the things they showed with Emmett, they've showed before, but just haven't been executed properly.
Yeah.
Like they have run wheel routes and they've run screens. They just haven't been executed. They were executing at a high level. Now Penn State goes, okay, we've seen those and we've seen how they've run them when they have success. What will be different than just lining up and running between the tackles?
Like they've said it kind of over and over again. It's a lot of the same plays, and they're not going to, and even Rhule was like, I'm not going to create like a completely different playbook or anything like that. But it almost as if the UCLA game, right? It was a bit of a fire drill of like hey, we got a backup quarterback and we got to get this game plan together and we got to figure out what we're going to do and we got to win this game. So where now in this Penn State game, because of the bye week, you've actually, first off, he's gotten first team reps, which is big for him. And you hope that in and of itself is going to get him better. And he's just going to be more prepared.
I don't know. Let me go back here.
Okay.
Maybe this is not what you're implying. I don't think they look like a fire drill unit.
Well,
like they look calm and
I wasn't
like
implying.
You wouldn't, if you watched, I think if you watched them play against UCLA and you didn't know the story of the quarterback, you wouldn't think that he just started his first game.
And I didn't think that at all. I'm just saying that the process of you go from a veteran 22 start quarterback that you have who has a very different skill set than your backup to then all of a sudden you go to a very inexperienced freshman who hasn't started a game before, who does things differently and doesn't have the experiences that he has. Like, that's a tough transition. Maybe
It
tough.
looked to, and maybe behind the scenes it was,
Yeah.
but on the field it looked like relatively calm.
I'm not talking. See, I can't speak on what it was behind the scenes, but just on the surface level of what it looked like to me, I think that's a tall task of going from a guy like Dylan, who plays very differently, to then going to a guy like TJ, right? And you have to go on the road,
like the
and start
spoken
a
part,
game.
yes,
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the visual.
The visual, and
Yeah.
and that's not what I'm talking about. I agree with you. It did look smooth. He did look poised. He liked to stand in the pocket, which I think made that performance all the more impressive. But when I'm just saying surface level, right? Surface level, you go from, hey, you have a big game you need to win on the road against a team you should beat with a brand new quarterback, and you got to figure some things out. You got to figure out what he can do, what he can't do, what he's comfortable with, what he's not comfortable with. Now, heading into this game, I expect more wrinkles and I expect more things from Dana because you've had the bye week. And also, too, you have to think that you have a much better idea of what TJ Lateef can do if you're Nebraska's football staff.
Yeah.
Because you can think all you want about what you can do in practice and what his skill is in practice. But as soon as you get between the white lines in an actual game, that's when you find out things about people.
I don't think any of this matters if you can't run the football. If they can run the football, then you go deep into the bag. Because what if they weren't able to run the football against UCLA?
It'd be over.
I mean, they were able then to put some stress on UCLA because they were running the football, straight with Emmett.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, God, we have another option that we got to defend against. And then they could keep you could stay on schedule. And then they could keep you guessing of, okay, we know they're going to do something with the mobility of Lateef or what they're going to do in the passing game. When is that coming? And we can't stop the run. So, geez, we're fighting it.
But I think what this boils back down to, Gary, is that if you can't run the football with Emmett, then you're not going to be able to win this game. If you can run the football,
I think that both not be able to run the football either way.
Well, I think
with the running back or the quarterback.
But I don't think you can. I don't know if TJ is necessarily like the Bryce Underwood or Haynes King, where you can just give him the ball and you go, you're our running game. Like you're gonna.
No, I don't think that. I don't think he's option number one. But Penn State, Penn State hasn't seen a ton of guys that run like Lateef.
I think the point I'm trying to make though is that TJ's running game is so much more effective if you can do it with Emmett first. I don't think you can just give TJ the ball and say just go.
Yeah, no.
Like
Emmett is first and foremost.
Exactly. You got to layer it, right? And so that's why it just boils down to you got to run it with Emmett first, and then you can do the zone reads, right? You can pull the ball, you can roll them right, you can roll them, and then what does that do too? If you are able to run the ball with Emmett, it means you get ahead of the sticks. And you can have a wider menu of things that you can do. And when you're playing a team, and I liked how you described it, right? Penn State is more athletic and they're more coordinated. When you are playing a team like that, you got to go ahead and you have to have them guessing. You have to have them thinking, oh, they're going to run this play, and we're going to try and we're going to scheme up for this, and then you just pull the rug from under them and you do something.
Yeah,
different.
I think the only way to have them guessing is you got to be successful running the football.
Yeah,
and they're going to think, are they going to continue to run the football, or are they going to pull something out here?
But the thing that does worry me though is that something that you brought up in the 6 o'clock hour, right? About Penn State. If you could just run the football, there's no point in throwing the ball, right? Like they're going to run the ball 50 times and throw it 13 times like they did against Michigan State. If we were going ahead and guessing who's more likely to do that, right? I would say Penn State is more likely to do that than Nebraska.
Oh, definitely.
And I think that is the fear factor of, if they're able to win the time of possession game and they're just able to gash and then they control the football game, you're going to have to start putting the hand. You can't, like every game that Nebraska plays at this point, you really can't be trailing by that much. Like I don't trust Nebraska down 2 possessions. I don't. I just think they with TJ's ability to throw the football, which still is kind of up in the air. Like I have an idea of maybe his limitations, but I don't fully know. But I'm just going to go with if Nebraska's down 10 or Nebraska's down 14, that's a really tough mountain to climb because they just don't have the horses to score and come back.
I think in particular, I just think not necessarily the makeup of the way they operate, but I think in this game they have to play with a lead. because there'll be a lot of emotion. I think there are probably some players, and Penn State hasn't cashed it in. They still have something to play for. They have a chance to be bowl eligible. For some of those guys, it means a lot. They may not stick around, but they get to go to a bowl game. And they don't have that scorn of, hey, you were the team that was preseason supposed to win a national championship. You guys didn't even make a bowl game. You're not allowed back in State College. Plus, I think there's some, and I listened to Terry Smith talk yesterday, and man, that's a good football guy. I can see why Rhule was attracted to him.
Yeah.
Just because he talks football like Rhule talks football and has a passion for young people and the sport. But there might be some guys that are playing that think, ooh, we're not hearing much about, what was that?
I was doing money, but I was trying to guess. I'm sorry.
What do you mean for?
I would say that maybe there are Penn State guys who are like, hey, we're playing for more tape. Like we're playing to go and get money. Like they're inspired by the transfer.
Maybe. I was saying
Were
more
you making
for,
it rain?
No, I was saying more for, if you're a player and you're not hearing any coaches' names attached, you don't know who Bob Chesney is or Matt Campbell, you might be thinking, man, are we playing for Terry Smith to get the gig? Which would be crazy and is not going to happen.
Yeah.
But there were guys that played thinking Bo Pelini was going to get the job after Frank got fired. So there's part of that. They like playing for the guy. It's a statement game. I think they're there to make a statement because they're on prime time.
Yeah.
They're not stuck on 2:30 on CBS. They're in prime time. They're at home. Senior day. Who cares if, Bob Husker bought a ticket for $6 and is sitting behind our bench giving us the business. I think Nebraska has to play with a lead on Saturday night because I think if Penn State gets off to a good start, they play with emotion.
Yeah.
And then that offense, they find a way to go 76-yard drive, 62-yard drive, and all of a sudden you squeeze the game and it ramps up the sense of urgency of, oh, no, now we got to score quickly, where I think Nebraska would be better suited, not saying that they can score explosive, but I think Nebraska is kind of enjoying this 9, 10, 11, 12 play drives that end up in a score.
Well, yeah. And also, too, like the problems that I bring up with Nebraska playing from behind, Penn State also has a backup quarterback who isn't really all that good. And Nebraska has the quarterback advantage in this game, without a doubt. Now, there's something you said yesterday that I really liked, and I want to add something to it, though. Because you said if you're telling me that Penn State doesn't have anything to play for, you haven't been watching them. I don't think, though, some people would reference, the Indiana game. They were really close to beating Indiana. I look more so back at that Ohio State game. Like, they're on the road against Ohio State, and they came in against the number one team of the country who was kicking everybody's butt up to that point. And until Ohio State turned it on, like, Penn State was in it and fighting and fighting and fighting. I think more in that Indiana game, it was a little bit closer to the, oh crap, we're in this. Like, we have a shot. Like, this isn't, they haven't played well. We can go and take it. I look at that Ohio State game as more of like they came in and they wanted.
Well, I'll go a step further. Look at what they did against Iowa.
Yeah.
They lose their quarterback. They lose their coach. They go on the road to Iowa. You can make a case that they should have won that football game.
Yeah.
And that's their first game under Terry Smith.
So it's one of those things too. And I think them beating Michigan State. Now, look, Michigan State's bad. Okay. Michigan State is not a good football team. Still beat them 28-10, right? They still beat them by a larger margin than Nebraska beat them. Now, we don't need to get in all the semantics about what Michigan State is now compared to where they were when they came to Lincoln. But I think the point is that after they lost that Indiana game, there was one of two courses of action for me. They could have been like, man, we blew our shot. Like, the season's over. It doesn't matter. Or they could have used the prospect of them nearly beating one of the best teams in the country as rocket fuel to continue to have a good season. And they chose the latter in their performance against Michigan State. And they're going to choose it again when they play Nebraska.
One thing we can't do this week is to build up this Penn State offense like it's incredible.
No, but
only one time under this quarterback have they gone over 300 yards.
The one thing, though, is that
which means you got to hold on to the football and prevent a special team score by them.
Yeah.
Which they're sixth in efficiency. Nebraska's second, you said yesterday.
They are, Penn State's one of the very rare teams that their starting field position is comparable to Nebraska. I mean, that's kind of why I asked Sam, is this going to be a Big Ten West game? Because I think it is going to be hey, Archie Wilson's probably going to have to make a couple of big punts.
All right, a little bit later, Brian Christopherson will stop by. He got some thoughts. Weird season. Nebraska's resume is kind of weird. What if you just looked at Nebraska's resume instead of watching them play? What would you think the season is around here?
Oh, I would say that it's you know what? This is a little bad, but
Hold on.
sorry.
Hold on to that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll let you answer that question because I think you got a good answer. Coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, so there's a mess on the webosphere this morning, thing called Cloudflare.
Yeah, it's affecting our ability to stream the show on Twitter.
Yeah, so it has disrupted ChatGPT, X, and other internet services.
Mhm.
The League of Legends is also affected this morning by Cloudflare.
Whoa, the tournament?
The
I-
League of
I'm
Legends.
pretty sure they're having the World Cup right now.
So
with the
that's what
Legends.
it's interfering with.
Wow, that's a big deal. You ever play League?
I have not.
It's a hell of a game. It's really
Is that like a card game like Magic?
No,
the
no.
Gathering?
It's a computerized. It's honestly it's a computerized card game in a way.
Oh, like Solitaire.
Jimmy, very good job.
I used to
Yeah,
play
so
that
it's
in the
almost
late
as if
90s.
they took a card game and then
Mhm.
they animated it and made it where you
Okay.
can move the characters around. My brother played it religiously, like his entire life, and he got me into it, and so I played it for a while. It's a nerdy game.
Mhm.
It's super nerdy, but it's fun. It's really, really fun. And that, like, so everybody talks about Fortnite with the esports thing. League, or LOL, was like the original, like, hey, like this is a big deal. They have like World Cups, and it's a big nation thing, and they got a bunch of different, like, there are guys who are super, super popular, like millionaire video gamers who are insanely popular because they're really good at League of Legends. It's a very tough game to play. That's a big deal that disrupted that.
I was good at Madden.
So
I
let's
didn't make
see.
any money.
We had the Amazon had the massive cloud computing
Mhm.
service
Mhm.
that got disrupted last month.
The
So
robots
this is
are
due to
taking over.
Cloudflare. So if you're wondering why I'm not on Twitter, why you
Mhm.
can't tweet at the show, all that stuff, it does appear that X has come back.
Not on my end, but I was able to send the show tweet before, but we'll see.
Before you answer the question that I asked before we went into the break, Joey chimes in. He said about Penn State, I understand who Penn State is and everything that has happened this year to this team. But at the end of the day, this is still a 4-win team. To be exact, they are 4-6. Your record is who you are. So for me, I expect Nebraska and Latif in particular to play very well. Good coaching will have him prepared, and I believe in what we're doing. Actually, you never want Dylan to get hurt. Your starting quarterback, whoever it is, to get hurt. But actually worked out ideally for Nebraska. You don't face a daunting opponent his first game.
Oh.
It's actually on the road where you'll be a little bit calmer, and you're ironically just going back home.
Mhm.
You have a defense that doesn't have a ton of athletes, and they don't adapt and adjust pre-snap or post-snap. Then you come back and you have a bye week, so you can self-scout,
Mhm.
and then you can start to add to his plate before things get real when he faces $1 million defensive coordinators at the end of the year in Jim Knowles and Phil Parker.
No,
So it actually worked out really well for Nebraska. If you have to say, well, we're going to lose our starting quarterback, then when does Latif get to play? Yeah, UCLA bye week, and then the last two
Mhm.
with a game and a week to self-scout and
Yeah.
add actually works out okay.
No, I would have hated it if, I mean, you're right. You don't pick and choose of like, hey, if Dylan were to get hurt, this would be a terrible time. Or, we're hoping he doesn't get hurt during the chunk of like Michigan State all the way up to this. But
Good
it
summer
did
topic.
the lead up to the last 2 games of the season, which are going to be the most important games of the year, because it's going to determine, I mean, the gap between 7 and 8 and the gap between 8 and 9, at least optically, is massive, right? Like,
yeah. What if you're like, so what if you're, let's say Nebraska loses the last 2 games. That means only one more game in the month of November. Because everything is about momentum for 26.
Yeah.
Building your roster. And also one other thing, being preseason ranked.
I like that.
Depending on who your quarterback is, if Nebraska finishes 7-5, are they preseason ranked? Now, I say that without us knowing what the roster is fully going to look like. But if you are 8-4, or let's say you go a step further and you are 9-3, because it's important to be ranked in the preseason. We make fun of the poll, but being in the preseason poll, and if you stay there,
Yeah.
it benefits you. At 9-3, Nebraska is going to have a nice little number next to their name to begin next year. 7-5, probably not. So I asked you, if you haven't watched Nebraska, but you are given their resume, and they're 7-3, they're 0-2 against teams that are ranked at the time you play them. They just have 12 wins over Power 4 teams. I think Nebraska only has 2 wins over teams that are above 500.
Mhm.
But they also have these really good-looking numbers. Like the offense is taking a big jump.
Yeah.
The special teams are taking a big jump. Kind of a weird year at 7-3. Resume compared to the eye test. How do you think Nebraska would fare if that was a discussion tonight amongst the committee? The resume versus the eye test.
Yeah, bear with me here. Poor man's ND with a mess up is what I wrote in terms of how would you look at Nebraska's resume if you weren't following this team. Poor man's ND with a mess up. The mess up being the Minnesota game, right? But let's remove that. Let's say they beat Minnesota. Let's say they went on the road and they defeated Minnesota. They would have 2 losses to quality teams, to ranked teams, one of which might be in the college football playoff by a combined 7 points, right? Notre Dame, their resume is literally lifted off of the fact that they have 2 losses against 2, now, albeit higher quality teams.
Yeah, man, I don't know how you can rank Miami or rank Notre Dame at 10-2 and not have Miami in the playoff.
I agree. I'm
not on the playoff committee, Troy.
But by the way, they showed a clip of the committee, like them meeting, and Troy Dannon was talking during the little clip that they showed. I was like, oh, look at Troy. But no, I would say, like, if you remove the Minnesota game, it's very comparable to the ND resume. And then on top of that, right, ND just picked up a quality win against a Pitt team that is no longer ranked, but was ranked. Nebraska beat Cincinnati, who no longer is ranked, but was ranked and would be considered a quality win, right? So
Cincinnati holding on to a ranking.
They might have just been. I just had it pulled up. I think they just might be back if they're back.
Are they back at 25? Because don't they play BYU this weekend?
No, they're not. But they
fell out.
They fell out
after their back-to-back losses,
and they're not receiving votes anymore either. Louisville, Arizona State, SMU, Illinois, Navy. No, they're not. They're no longer receiving.
So this
votes.
last loss knocked them out. Okay.
Yeah, but the point
could be right back in. They host BYU.
But the point being is that, like, if you were just to look on the outside looking in, you didn't know about the rush defense problems and you didn't know about the sack issues or anything like that, you would look at their 7-3 and be like, hey, minus that really bad game against Minnesota, that's a quality 7-3. That's a good season that they're having, right? And then to your point, I kind of disagree with you. I think if they go 7-5, I'd still think they might be ranked to begin the preseason. I still think that if they make some right moves in the portal, there would be people who could look at this team and be like, look, yeah, they went 7-5, but they had their backup quarterback for the last 2 games, and Dylan Raiola, if he doesn't get hurt in that USC game, they probably end up winning that USC game. And oh, look, they have 91 underclassmen. They're bringing a lot of these guys back. Here are some of their high quality players. And then there are a lot of people in the national media who like Matt Rhule, who would say, you know what? This is the year 3 bump for Matt Rhule. This is where they're going to take the step.
No, I don't think you can do that if you're a national person and that's what you've hung your hat on in year 3.
But I think that
I don't think you can. But I don't think you can go back as a national person and you said, well, he's getting the year 3 bump. At 7-5, there's not momentum because you've lost your last 2 games. And what if you finish 7-6? Okay.
Well, yeah, that's another good point.
And the roster could look, but in certain spots, significantly different. It's important for Nebraska to begin next year ranked, like not 25th, but like 22nd to 18, somewhere in that range. Now, if you're 9-3 and you return a chunk of this roster, then you may be the offseason, the love child. And so you get a little bit more love. I think if you're 7-5, you've lost your last 2 games. You might get a, hey, there's Matt's a good guy. But you would say, wait, he's gone 5, 6, 7.
But I think you could say that they lost their starting quarterback. They played 2 teams that maybe they didn't match up well against. They are bringing back a lot of their players that were 7-3. And what I was going to say, to finish my thought, you could make the argument of like, hey, maybe they're set up better next year for a bump than they are this year for a bump because they had a lot of young guys in 2025 that no longer are young, that have a whole season of experience that can take a jump.
The only thing is the schedule is much more difficult next year.
But I don't, when I say they could be preseason ranked in the top 25, it's probably, first off, it's dependent on how big of a splash you make in the portal, right? And number 2, it's probably 23. It's probably 24. It's on the fringe. They go 9-3. And they bring a lot of the guys back, and then you have the money you have in the portal. We could be talking 15. We could be talking 12. I don't know, top 10. Gary, if they're 9-3,
Well,
and
you just said top 10.
no, I'm not. I'm saying I'm not. I
Oh,
said not top
okay.
10. I'm no, not top 10. But anywhere like 12 to 15, if they're 9-3, 12 to 15 with bringing a lot of these guys back, and then they're going to go ahead in the portal and spend money. I think they definitely could be in the borderline CFP team to begin if they win these last 2 games. And if they win these last 2 games, it means that players have gotten better and players have improved. And this team is better than we think.
They win their last 3 games of the year, they'll be treated like Illinois in the offseason. You remember what Illinois is treated like this past offseason?
Yeah.
That's how they'll be treated.
But
they have to be 10-3 on January 1.
I think you can make the argument that they'd be built. Well, it depends on this all comes down to what they do in the portal as well. Because this is funny when you and I like talk about how the national people look at it, right? But then we kind of reel back to, all right, we're not national. We know these teams better. Like they still have to go out and get a tackle, and probably a couple of them on both sides of the ball. Like they still have issues that they got to figure out in the portal. But just from a macro optics perspective, you go 9-3 and you have as young of a roster as they do.
Go a step further. Go 10-3 because Illinois' thing was they won 10 games.
Yeah.
And they returned their quarterback. And they retained 18 starters.
I think the only reason why they wouldn't be ranked in the top 10 is because you'd be like,
I don't know about the top 10.
But no, I'm saying why. The reason why they wouldn't be ranked in the top 10 is because their recruiting classes aren't comparable to the teams that are actually in the top 10. That's why.
Yeah,
they don't have.
I don't think top 10 is even a consideration.
No, I'm not. I know. I didn't say top 10. But if they were to finish,
keep throwing out top 10.
I'm saying why they're not top 10. They're not top 10 because they don't have the recruiting classes like the Ohio States and like the USC's and like.
I don't even think mentioning top 10 should even be a thing.
If they go 10-3 and they bring back as many guys as they're bringing back, and then they spend the money in the portal like they're conveying that they're going to spend in the portal, I think they could be in the 12 to 15 range. I think that's totally seeable, totally doable.
What was Illinois preseason? Like 15?
No, they were 12. They were 12. So I mean, let me double check that. I'm almost positive.
All right, we'll take a break. Brian Christopherson coming up at the top of the hour. 1620 The Zone. So tonight, the college football rankings will be released at halftime of the Champions Classic. So you get Kentucky and Michigan State, KU and Duke. Can you name a player on KU's roster that is not Darren Peterson?
No,
Isn't that weird?
I can't.
I can't either. I'll be watching the Spurs.
I
You're not going to watch your Jayhawks play against Duke?
No, Spurs are on NBC. I'm going to be in all the nostalgia tonight.
Wemby is
I
out.
know Wemby's
He's not
out.
playing.
I know. But we got De'Aaron Fox.
You're not
Got
watching
Luke
KU
Cornett.
Duke?
Well, come on.
You could have had Boozer. Instead, you're going to play against him?
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
I'm pumped about the Spurs on NBC.
But why? But
My
they don't
whole
have
week-
Wemby. Wemby's out.
I'm not abandoning the team. Now, we're not going to go 80-2 after all. We might have to settle for 73-9, but you got to win tonight against the jawless
Man,
Grizz.
KU basketball is at a crossroads. Like, they're
Is
not-
Peterson even playing tonight?
no, he's out for the immediate future.
Oh, then yeah.
But usually, and you know, like they're in a weird crossroads because their recruiting class that they just signed is like, I think number one.
A lot of studs.
But this is one of the rare years that you can't really name KU players. Now, granted, they've had guys that have stuck around for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and so you get
That's
to know
a
them.
great point.
But this year, stop somebody on the street that's not named Nick Baugh, who I think Nick's done 2 of their games, or you as a KU fan, or anybody that's a KU fan, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of them in this town. Name me a player on the roster right away that is not named Darren Peterson.
I can't. I can't. And tip, but I
Ladinga?
mean, I'm also not gonna.
And he played well the other night against Princeton.
You know what? I probably am though your demographic that you're looking for because I am an incredibly casual, just like I'm not a casual college basketball fan when it comes to Nebraska or Creighton.
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna watch those games and I'm gonna be, neck deep in what they're doing. But like in terms of the macro, like everybody else playing in college basketball and whatnot, I'm incredibly casual. There were years where I definitely could give you 3. I could give you 2 or 3. Or
Oh,
I could,
absolutely.
I
I actually
easily
was
off the
thinking
top
this
of my
over the
head.
weekend. I was like, without Peterson, who else
Yeah.
could I name that's still there?
This year, no.
I will be honest, I seem to know more about Nebraska basketball these days. So part of that's just because I live and work here.
Well, because they have the longest winning streak in the country. That's
See-
why you know about them. And you know what?
And they're going to probably be a
And-
1 seed in the Midwest.
Or they'll be an 11 playing in Dayton.
Okay. Or somewhere.
Here's the funny thing though with Duke. Like I know Cam Boozer and Caden Boozer, but like I'm not gonna act as if I can name but I'm not gonna act as if I can name the entire Duke roster either. But the thing is that Duke and Kansas to a certain extent too. It's like every year they have a new team, so I have to watch.
Oh, we got.
Well, I have to watch Duke play and then be like, okay, here's who they have. Like last year, I was at the point where I can name you, a lot of that roster because you watch them play plenty of times.
Now,
I haven't watched them play.
I know this because I've watched them play twice
Mhm.
because I like KU.
See?
I bet you could not give me their starting 5 in the game against Princeton.
Jimmy.
No. I also forgot they
how
were
many
playing
players can you
Saturday.
name on
Badinga.
this team?
I was
Badinga-
watching the Cats when they were playing.
Badinga is a familiar name, and he's had a nice start to
done
the season. But the other 4 starters, now they're kind of young, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of new faces that have just shown up.
Let's
but
see
there's
if
no
I
like
know.
marquee transfer that you remembered watching in March Madness last year that's at KU.
What? How did I
They're
get you
weird.
watching?
Weird team.
How did I get you watching Northwestern play Mercyhurst before I got you watching?
No.
Kansas?
I was watching college football on Saturday.
Oh,
They played Saturday afternoon, and see, college basketball doesn't exist to me on Saturday afternoon football. You know this. I sent you a picture.
Did you watch the Cats beat DePaul? Did you see that big win? 71-69.
No.
Angelo Cheravino played really well.
No one cares.
Nick Martinelli was awesome.
No one cares until the crown champions play Northwestern.
I'll be big.
Cats might be frisky. Might be frisky. Nebraska's a better basketball team than Northwestern. That is
Now
a
I got to
fact.
look. Who was the starting 5 for that?
Really?
Oh yeah, I think that
Okay.
from what I've seen from Nebraska and what I've seen from Northwestern, I definitely Northwestern does not have a bench. You do not want to look like it's awful. They got a bunch of dudes grabbed off the streets of Evanston playing minutes for them. Like it's ridiculous. Their starting 5 is
Right.
really good.
Hey, Nebraska basketball, I know it's early. They're 4-0, but they've won 8 in a row.
Longest winning streak in the
It
nation.
is. It is.
People forget.
Yeah. People are saying the Gonzaga game probably forced Hudson Greer to burn his red shirt or transferred to Nebraska.
And the
Is
starting
that
five:
is that what
Bryson
they're saying?
Tiller,
Hey, I
Flory
think-
Badinga, Trey White, Cole Rosario, and Melvin Council Jr.
That doesn't
I never
sound-
heard of any
that
of these
doesn't
guys
sound
except
like a
Flory.
That doesn't sound like a Kansas team either.
Ricky Vaughn,
Whoa.
Willie Hayes. Never heard of most of these guys.
Ricky Vaughn.
El Marco Jackson. Heard
Ricky,
of him.
Ricky Vaughn's a guy on
Now-
your team. That's
now,
a
wow,
great
okay,
name.
so
This
a
is
little bit here.
fascinating.
A little bit here. If you watched Illinois play last year, you recognize Trey White's name because he was one of the, he
Good point.
started. He was their one of their everyday starters.
Jaden Dawson. Heard of him.
Yeah,
Jaden
Who-
Dawson, yeah.
Jaden Dawson is Omaha,
But
but Trey White would be one that you go, okay, I
Interesting.
recognize the name. Yeah, because this is his fourth friggin' school. He's gone. What'd he go? USC. He was at Louisville and Kenny Payne's last year, and then last year he was at Illinois. Now he's at KU.
Ricky Vaughn sounds like a second baseman's name. That doesn't.
He was a
sound-
pitcher.
That doesn't.
Ricky Vaughn sounds like a pitcher's name.
Oh,
He wasn't much of a dresser though.
that's
They wear
That's-
caps and sleeves. at
Major
that
League?
level.
yeah. It's like, why does that sound so familiar?
Yes.
Why is Ricky Vaughn?
Joey
on-
says, doesn't KU have the kid from Omaha Central? He has to be Jaden Dawson. He got out of Loyola. Loyola's 1-4. Chicago's team, rough start.
Yeah, hasn't
Porter
been
should
the same.
Porter should never have left. He should.
He might be able to go back into.
He should.
I don't know. You go from the Atlantic 10 to the SEC.
No, I know from that perspective. I understand that, but I'm more so talking about he was a great fit at Loyola and he was a really good fit for Chicago. And he, like a lot of people around that area, really, really liked him. Yes, A10 to SEC, no doubt. Nobody's arguing in that.
Hey, if
regard.
DePaul's ever
To
looking to
Joey, I don't know if I know he knows the family. Bill Kyle, the third at Syracuse,
All
is
right.
having a nice start to the season.
Nice.
Starting to get a little NBA love.
Have you watched Kai and Anthony at all this year?
Just briefly.
Okay, your initial
Last week was the week for me to watch college basketball.
and your initial thoughts on Kyan were
Not like his dad
okay.
as a
well,
freshman.
nobody's like his dad. His dad's one of the greatest freshmen of all time.
He's
Jimmy, is that an overstatement that Carmelo Anthony is one of the greatest freshmen of all time?
He did well.
him
Yeah.
and
Jerry McNamara helped him win a championship.
I mean,
Carmelo and Kevin Durant.
Oh yeah,
great,
yeah.
great call.
Durant
Zion
could have
was-
had
Zion-
60 in
Zion
Allen
was a pretty
Fieldhouse
great
if he didn't
freshman.
turn his ankle.
Zion was an awesome freshman.
Melo probably was the best. I mean, you won a national championship.
Melo was-
And he was a grown ass man playing with boys.
You know
I mean,
what?
he was really
I
good.
get pissed off thinking like, Detroit should have taken Melo, and Melo should have had those titles with the Pistons instead of Darko. That makes me mad. Makes me
It
frustrated.
makes the Pistons mad. They only won one title.
Pistons are happy right now. They won 10 in a row.
Pistons are
back.
with their practice squad beat the Chicago Bulls the other day. Got a great win yesterday. We contained Joker to a 36-point triple-double. We really put him in a box.
It was like the 12th time that he's had a game of 35, 15, and 10.
Crazy. Dumb.
I don't think he
Oh.
gets appreciated enough.
All right. So what I was going to say before we went down the rabbit hole of basketball, Jimmy, you'll watch tonight. It's KU Duke.
I'll tune in for a little bit, but I
this
really
is
am
the
dialed
night-
in on the
This
Spurs
is the
game.
night for some people that college basketball begins. This is the third week of college basketball, and it begins with the Champions Classic.
Why can't they?
And
play the
we're
first
next week
game?
is Feast Week. And damn those people out in Vegas at the Players Era, they have killed the Maui tournament.
Yeah.
That's
the
heartbreaking.
Maui bracket is.
Is it?
The Omaha Metro Conference tournament has a better bracket than the Maui bracket.
Is it the Maui? Doesn't Maui have like Chaminade in the bracket or something
Well,
like
there's
that?
Chaminade's always in. the
And
bracket.
in Boise State and Seton Hall and USC.
You
I
think the
that's-
Maui's going to go the way of the Great Alaska Shootout? That would be sad.
The NIL has hurt the Maui tournament.
Yeah.
The field is not that good. I might have been a little harsh that the Omaha Metro Conference tournament was better, but
Not by far. Not
yeah,
by
it's
much.
just the visuals are better. No offense to Prep and Bell West, the visuals outside the gym in Maui.
77
Why-
here
why-
last Friday.
Why is when I go on NCAA.com, the first guy that pops up is the former Murray State manager with a Buffalo Wild Wings boombox?
Why not?
Because he was in Providence when we were playing there.
Mhm.
It's an aura.
What? But like he's
It
the
inspires.
first guy that pops up on
Because he was March Madness
NCAA.com.
last year.
This year could
He
be
was
you.
the guy. His former boss got to 4-0 last night. Also,
Correct.
here's one other thing if you want to do some transitive property. So Southern Utah played in Omaha on Saturday night.
Okay, all right.
You see where they played yesterday?
They went to Gonzaga, right?
Yeah. See what the score was?
Uh-oh.
No, what was the score?
122-50.
Okay.
Oh,
So Southern Utah, the return trip here was part of a home and home, but they had to go make some money. So they didn't get out of Omaha until late on Sunday to fly all the way
My
to
Lord.
Spokane and play against Gonzaga in the kennel last night. I mean,
Ooh.
they got destroyed. Then they stick around and they drive through the Palouse up to Washington State, which is about we've done that drive before, about a 2.5 hour. I'm surprised they did not go to and play Eastern Washington today, but they had to go do their paycheck.
Yeah.
So they're playing 3 games in 5 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
So they
terrible.
were late getting out of Omaha. They had to fly through Denver.
Jeez.
So I don't know how much prep they had on the ground in Spokane, but they got absolutely annihilated last night by Gonzaga.
That was a tall team Southern Utah had. Like,
Yeah,
they
a
were
couple
big.
of Isaiah Cottrell, who transferred from UNLV, is 6'11". Yeah, they had a 6'10" guy from Holy Cross.
So I didn't know any of the Southern Utah roster, and Cottrell came out, and I go, that guy doesn't look like a lot of the players. Like, that guy's a different looking dude.
There's a pro body.
He and Bigelow then looked up and goes, "Yep, he was at West Virginia, then UNLV." I go, checks
Yep.
out. You just see it when you see it.
Yep.
And yet he wasn't that good.
Pro body with a YMCA game.
Looks like Tarzan,
Nice.
plays like Jane.
Nice.
All right. Brian Christopherson's going to join us next. Also, just for everybody out there that you're thinking about getting up on Sunday morning and watching the NFL pregame shows, just avoid them. Just avoid them. I know the ratings are great. Just avoid them because the whole shows are going to be about the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
I saw some clips yesterday from those shows that I don't watch anymore. And I was like, this is why I don't watch.
Unfortunately, his house, he's one of the athletes now that is on the list. His house got broken into yesterday.
Who?
Or when Shedeur was playing
Oh my
for
God.
Cleveland, his house got broken into. Yeah. Shedeur Sanders going to start for Cleveland. So
Let's go Browns.
sure dad will be there. They're playing in Vegas, by the way.
Better. Really?
Yeah, they're playing in Vegas.
Oh, that's appropriate.
Yeah. This is you know what? People are not doing him any good by promoting him. And you know what? Because you're friends with his dad and his dad's not there to help with the PR, you feel like you got to carry it. And you are not doing any good for him defending him.
No, apparently Kevin Stefanski wants to lose games and lose his jobs, according to people on national TV. That's the theory. That Kevin Stefanski doesn't want to be employed anymore. So
You get a
he's not
buyout.
giving Shedeur any help. Get out of here.
Yeah. So
So
avoid the
stupid.
pregame shows because it'll be all about a guy that's starting a quarterback for the Browns. All right. BC's coming up next. Plus, we haven't touched on Lane Kiffin yet. Or more about Bob Chesney. Does Bob Chesney at UCLA or Penn State scare you?
No.
They might be doing the Signetti thing again. It's coming from JMU, who in my bracket is in the playoff tonight.
You love JMU.
I love James Madison. Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, no flight tracker season around here. We'll leave that to our friends in Oxford, Baton Rouge, Gainesville, State College. They'll be tracking planes that Brian Christopherson will be on, traveling out to the East Coast for the game on Saturday night. But before he leaves, and he's leaving right after he's done, he joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. Do you enjoy that stadium? There's a lot of people that do not enjoy the atmosphere as an opposing fan. Ask any Nebraska fan that was there in 2002. Do you enjoy covering a game at that stadium?
Yeah, I enjoy the stadium. I don't enjoy getting to the stadium or the car wherever they randomly put you in the field outside the stadium afterward, your rental car. But I understand if you're a fan, and especially if you were there in 2002, where you would not have a pleasant thought of Beaver Stadium and probably Penn State fans.
Yeah. 2002 was very, very uncomfortable. The game on the field and the game in the stands. But before we get more into that, so James Franklin gets hired, and the first thing you hear is they're going to make an investment in the program. Wisconsin and Maryland retain their coaches. We're going to make an investment into the program. Nebraska signs their head coach to an extension. We're going to make an investment into the program. So now it's like we have resources. Well, you're going to have brand new coaches at Florida, LSU, and Penn State. They have resources. I know money's a big deal, but how soon do you think this money will eventually wash out and we'll go back to the usual intangibles about winning battles for prospects?
We're working our way there. You notice the old JUCO recruiting is coming back too. That's been kind of interesting.
I did, and
but
still
yeah,
no Iowa Western kids.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, everything kind of circles back. It feels like, and it's going to come down to coaching cliches of you got to get the Jimmies and the Joes, but then it's development, and that's the big thing around here when you look at Nebraska's roster when they have 91 of the 125 players who are sophomores or younger. I'd be interested how that like sort of connects or doesn't connect with the rest of the country, like how, I guess like heavy that is of guys who are really young in their college careers. And we kind of think of this as still the portal age where everybody's flipping their rosters, and that's happening all in front of us. But yet I think it's going to come down to those programs that actually can retain. You hear Troy Dannon talk about that all the time. It's yes, recruit, but retain. And that was what Rhule stressed during his bye-week press conference, is that thought like they don't have to make as hard of decisions maybe with some guys on the roster because of the finances this year, where maybe you can keep some guys coming along in that third or fourth year. And now, Rhule and the staff have always prided themselves on developing guys. Can you do it? So I think that's in many ways going to settle it as much as we get distracted by all the shiny objects in college sports.
Brian, if I remember correctly, you were a 4-team playoff guy, right?
I was a fan in the off season when we were trying to kill time of the 4-4-2-2-1 idea.
Okay.
Because not that I thought it was perfect. I just thought the Big 12 and other conferences in that particular topic were stupid in thinking that the SEC wasn't going to run roughshod over everybody and try to get, half the field from their conference into the playoffs. And so I thought that they should have got behind that and taken their automatic spots where they can get them. And I kind of would have liked to seen that, how it would play out during the season. So I kind of like that idea, I guess, like in a rough layout form when we were in April and May and we're like, how do we get through? Like, talking about stuff that was one I was all right with.
So real quick, because Gary and I were having a great conversation about the importance of being ranked and how it plays into the college football playoff. Like, do you think that for Nebraska, if they want to take the jump that they want to take next year, which is make the college football playoff and be a contender, is it imperative to get yourself on the right foot of the rankings to begin the year, which means having a good end to the season?
I don't think it's imperative, but I think it helps. I mean, I think it's always good when you've got like a couple steps on the field, and it still seems like it's that way in college football now. there are exceptions to that. I'm kind of thinking off the cuff here, but Indiana was ranked, weren't they? Like, where did
20th.
Indiana start this year?
20th.
20th? Okay, so they were in there. You know, people kind of knocked them down a little bit even after last year's success, and I don't think expected them to necessarily repeat it. But you're right, they were ranked, so that's not the best example. But I do think you can still, if you can notch an early, you know, what Nebraska's lacked is like that win over like that ranked team, like a Michigan or somebody that sort of puts you at like 16 or 17 in the polls that week. And then you can get dinged once or twice and you still sort of hang around like in 21 to 25. But it would be nice. It would be nice to get the jump start and be ranked. And to do that, I don't know if they have to at least get to 8 wins this year. That might play into that. So I guess that's another storyline we can add to the finish of this season. It is a runway in the next year. That all that stuff matters.
What do you think? And I think about, you know, there are some things that Rhule will say that'll try and talk into fruition. Jeff Sims, for example, from the offseason before the season began. This year it was the defensive line. And we all were like, ooh, there's some young guys that are playing in there, and you just lost 2 stalwarts. And it has been a work in progress. And unfortunately, as they go into week 11 of the season, it is still a work in progress. Where do you think that maybe Rhule missed on this defensive line? And what he talked about when he was in front of us in Vegas compared to where he was yesterday, when he did bring up, you know, the run defense, and it wasn't like an overwhelmingly, hey, man, we are really good here.
I'm not sure if he missed or not in the sense that, well, when he said what he said at media days, Hell on Wheels, it was a big comment and got the headlines and stuff. But I think a lot of people probably took it as this is a coach really trying to inject sort of a confidence boost into some young guys as you go into fall camp. Hey, I believe in you. You're here. We've developed D linemen all throughout my career. We're going to do it with you. So I think he knew that it was going to be a year of ups and downs probably on that front, but you're trying to publicly and probably in your locker room too, tell those guys you've got what it takes. I know you can play at this level. And I think some of those guys have slowly but surely started to get better. So I think there has been progress on that front, but you know, this is why these last 2 games are so important. You're gonna go up against 2 squads that are just gonna flat out challenge you there and say, I don't know that you can stop us if we run the ball 50 times, you know. And are you that type of crew on a 37-degree night under the lights in November that is all right to punch back with that? And so this is going to be like a big game for some guys. Like maybe we don't talk about as much, like an Elijah Judy as he finishes out his Husker career. Like he needs to have a couple of the best games of his in the Nebraska uniform. Like a Gabe Moore is a guy who has to develop into a run stopper. But yes, when they get to the portal, I think you can like what's building and also say, to your question, you know, you're going to need to add a jolt or two that can really make that group more formidable.
Yeah, one quick thing. There are 2 guys that are redshirting because they were injured and have never gone through the season. I kind of would like an update on Malcolm Simpson and Tyson Terry, because those are 2 guys that are fire hydrants that you can put in the interior defensive line. And I know Malcolm, they were thinking they could get him on the field this year, but he wasn't injured, and so they weren't going to try it. What they're doing with junior college offers and how they're going to approach the portal at that position, I think will be very telling of what they believe they have to work with and the one missing ingredient. If it's a more athletic interior defensive lineman, or is it a big fire hydrant guy that, you know, is 305, 310 that just clogs up America?
Yeah. I like your last part of that, a big fire hydrant. I think that could be incredibly useful in this league if you can find them. Of course, everybody's got their elbows out for those guys, but then let's go back to what Rhule said, you know, last week. I think Nebraska feels like they can play in that circle, you know, and make runs at those type of players. So I definitely think an addition or two is important. And that can be true while also saying there's some guys in there that they can really like. And we've always said, at least I've always said on here, I thought this could be a really good D-line if you can retain and keep it around in 26 and keep growing them. It was just not going to always be an easy ride to the station in 25, and that's sort of how it's played out.
So you kind of alluded to it in the DE line, and Gary and I, we have made the Quentin Ives jokes because you would think that he's the next coming of Herschel Walker based on how Matt Rhule has talked about him in literally the last 2.5 years. This is more so a question about you and your profession, but is it almost like a good thing or a good indication for a player when Matt Rhule isn't saying anything about him?
That might be astute by you, Matt. Yeah, there might be something to that. I mean, I think I'd like to get brought up once in a while during the off season, but I get your point.
Yeah.
It's like if, sometimes if it's just like this guy is just really trying to inject confidence, and that's mostly what that's about. But yeah, I mean that could be a good point. I'm interested. I think people have kind of moved to like, Makai Nelson and Mosey, and I am truly intrigued if those guys might have the goods. Like, I'm not one of those people who doesn't think they don't necessarily have some good players between those two guys. It just so happens that it's been a year where you have a star at running back one, and he's going to take all the reps. He's durable, like a lot of guys aren't, that he can get 28 to 30 carries a game. And so, unfortunately for those other guys, they just haven't really got a chance to show what they could do. So I'm not like down on the idea that they can get it done. But if Emmett decides to go to the pros, I'd obviously love to see one more name join that crew and let that competition roll.
How much looking at what Latif can do, and then looking at UCLA and Oregon and Iowa with their quarterbacks against Penn State, any correlation of what Latif could do because guys that have some wheels and an arm have had success against this defense?
Yeah, I mean, I like yesterday. It was not about, as Rhule said, playing it close to the vest. It's let it rip with this kid. Let's go out there and let's play ball. That doesn't mean you have to give him an overwhelming catalog of plays. But the thing I've heard about TJ since he arrived to this program is he's just incredibly sharp and is sort of a guy who saturates himself in trying to learn more. And so I think he's probably better positioned for the situation he's been put in than a lot of true freshmen would be, just because he's got that type of mindset. You always hear Nebraska coaches talk about a triple threat: arms, legs, the legs are obviously going to be important, but also the brain. And Latif, came up at that Orange Lutheran High School, which is a good program, and he got some really good coaching. And so I do think we're in an age in college football, with the quarterback position in particular, where some of these guys are getting, taught since they're like 12 years old at the position. I don't know when it all started for Latif, but because of that background, they're just further ahead, I think, than some of the guys used to be at that spot. And it gives them a fighting chance in weeks like this. But to your point, yeah, the wheels are everything. Like against UCLA, there was a couple like 7-yard type of plays in that game where he ran and scrambled out of something, and it was just a nothing burger because of his feet to avoid the pressure and get positive yards. And that's everything, like in this game, to get your down and distance to like 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, because your quarterback just sort of makes a backyard play. And that can win a game like Saturday if you make 2 or 3 of those at the right times.
It's funny. We're going to go from talking about the quarterback to now I'm going to ask you a question about the kicker. Kyle Kinnanen, 11 of 12 to begin the year. Now he's 12 of 15. He's in a bit of a, one of his last 3, but that happens. Is he the most underrated acquisition of the portal?
Do you say he's most underrated?
Yes. Or is there another guy that you think of?
Who I would say, because of his role, I think you could make a good point. I was going to say someone who hasn't played as much, but like there was guys like Jameer Khan and people that like
Sure.
everyone just sort of talked over, but they're just useful and they're really a big part of special teams. But I think you bring up probably the right name to the question just because of how high profile that spot is. And he started really strong. He just doesn't seem like we've seen him out there as much lately.
Sure.
You know, it sort of hasn't been a big situation, but it does feel like one of these last two games, and especially with Iowa looming, you know, there's going to be that kick where maybe the conditions aren't ideal, but your guy has to go out there and figure out a way to make a 43-yarder go between the pipes. And so in many ways, these late November kicks, they kind of define everything gets defined in these last couple of games, but especially for a kicker, because it's what everybody remembers last. So I think he's been good. And I think he's got a chance to sort of swing the narrative one way or another, probably with the big kicker too, probably starting Saturday.
How great was Saturday in Sioux Falls?
Oh, that was wonderful. I watched it back on TV, and it was good on TV. Don't get me wrong. And this isn't like, oh, you just saw the movie, I read the book, I was there, you know, like sort of thing. Like but it truly was different, like in person for that particular event. Like the noise and the way it travels in that gym. And I think you would appreciate this. To me, you know, when I was growing up in the 90s, in high school games, like you'd get one versus two in a crowded gym of like 2,000 people, had to get there like 2 hours early. And it was just like kind of an ornery feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's good or not, I guess you could have a debate, but I like it. Like I like when there's just that extra juice and sort of Nebraska nice goes out the window. And it reminded me of basketball games like that, just in a small gym where the crowd's sort of on fire. And it would have meant nothing, though, if you didn't have a team that just splashed shots after shots, hit 64% from the field in the second half. I mean, the 20-5 assist to turnover ratio was something. And I don't know, I think we can almost say some people probably even undersold like how big a deal, if this was possible, like Rink Mass, you know, his return is. Like you forget just how much he stresses a defense in like 5 or 6 different ways. And Porter Moser talked about basically all of them in the post game. I thought Porter Moser, by the way, was as classy as could be after walking into a hornet's nest and getting screamed at for two and a half hours. So I give him a lot of credit for that post game.
Man, it looked great. The game was high level. Is that shooting sustainable?
Not like that, probably, but they definitely are that type of team that, they had that, I know it was against lesser competition, but they had that 17 for 34 behind the arc like a week before that. And, you know, they're going to have some clunkers in there too. That's where you've got to get that defense. And Hoiberg was even talking about it after a win. It's got to just keep rising, and you got to have that sort of be portable for you. But I think what you saw that was really encouraging is, you know, Jamarcus Lawrence to me looks like he came back from his Rhode Island experience with a little something extra. He had a rough first half with the fouls, but the way he responded and just got on a heater. And then Price Stanford, I think people probably pigeonholed him as just like a guy who stands behind the arc and shoots it. I liked how he put it on the deck, had a drive for a dunk, had another drive for an and one reverse in the second half. And I think he's pretty determined to show the variety in his game. And so that probably jumped out to me as much as anything for him to do that in that setting.
Yeah, that was fun. BC, safe travels to State College. Look forward to all the coverage this weekend.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
TBC.
Brian Christopherson. So Nebraska plays New Mexico in Kansas City. New Mexico is 3-1. This will be the best team that they have played in Nebraska.
Has your idea of what the ceiling for this team has gone up at all?
January 1.
Okay.
Ask me that question on January 1.
Not even after Bear K had 15 and he
No.
was a great cog in the machine?
To be fair, he had 16. January 1.
My bad.
Same with all three teams around here, January 1.
How dare I disparage your Prince and not give him the proper statistics?
Hell yeah. I mean, you're gonna have some speaks. You'd ever come on here and do a weekly radio show.
Oh my God. A Bear K interview, you and I would walk out the room. I would let you two.
They're very few and far between.
I would let you have the moment. Would that be your white whale?
No.
Having Berkay on the show?
No. I don't think the sarcasm, I don't think he understands sarcasm.
I don't think it's sarcastic at all. I think you actually like this guy and you think he's got legitimate potential to be a good basketball player.
I want to, when we're in Dayton together, I want to be able to fist bump.
This
I want
might
to be like,
like
the play-in game.
Colin Cowherd has taken his victory lap with Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Berkay can be your Darnold.
If he is, then that means good things for Nebraska basketball. Just get into the tournament. Use the Big Ten. They might get 11 teams. Just use the Big Ten to help you, get into the tournament. Also about the Pentagon.
Yeah.
So, Nebraska has committed to minimum of 2, I think could be 4. It's all about the day of the week. Like there were playing on Saturday night. Like you're not going to have that crowd on a Monday.
No.
Like Iowa State, Mississippi State played last Monday there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, even the field of 68 was on a Monday, but playing on a Saturday night for Nebraska, it has to be about the day of the week because they played on a Sunday and it was kind of like, eh.
Well, even tonight.
But the drunk tank in Sioux Falls on a Saturday night, 3,200 of your closest friends wearing the same color. Hell yeah.
Is MSG going to be that? Is that going to be sold out tonight for the Champions Classic?
I don't know.
Because it wasn't for the UC. The one that I went to where I was so excited to watch Marvin Bagley and then he poked his eye out 4 minutes into the game. And
that sounds grotesque.
Yeah, and he didn't end up playing. And then he ended up becoming a massive bust in the NBA. That game, there wasn't like as many people as you nearly would think at that Champions Classic. Like Miles Bridges, Jaren Jackson Jr.
New York City is a better college basketball town than Chicago.
Without a doubt.
So I think probably closer to a sellout at MSG. Plus, remember, Duke is essentially New York City is their home.
Yeah.
And then Big Blue Nation loves them some Macy's. They love to go shopping. They like to take pictures on Times Square, and they like to go watch Mark Pope.
Mock Pope.
Other than that, KU and Michigan State fans, they probably like Chicago a lot better.
Well, it was loaded for and that Michigan State team was good. They had a good team that year.
Yeah. Well, their last team to before Purdue this year to win a national championship out of the Big Ten. Yep, I said it.
I would love that because I would win a lot of money if that
Purdue,
happened.
Houston, national championship
already.
Game. I was impressed by Houston against Auburn.
Well, that was
they got to learn how teams that already know how to close out games this early in the year. Sign me up.
Did you see Bruce Pearl yelling from the stands at the referees?
I also saw a really good call at the end of the game. I know it was a 50-50 call that ended that game. I thought it was a good call.
I didn't watch the game.
All right. We're back with more. We'll a couple of thoughts of the Nebraska-Penn State game. Today is coordinator day. This will be the first time Dana's talked about his Latif experience.
Oh, yeah.
John Butler will talk about how you stopped Allen and Singleton, and players will talk. What if you think Latif will speak today?
I think he should. I mean, he's got to. He's starting quarterback.
Well, sometimes guys got school.
Maybe. Well, what was the guy? Who's the guy that we thought had classes that isn't able to do the pressers? Is that V9? Is it Shavers who's got classes in between the pressers?
I don't know, man. You use us, we use you. That's how this works. It's a good hell of a relationship on 1620 The Zone. Man, Len Bias would have been 62 today.
Speaking of what you talked about just now off air, Matt,
Of
what you like about the holidays.
I like snow.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the man, it's a tragedy. He's been gone for a while.
Right.
Okay.
The Celtics would have won a couple more.
Hey, I mean, I knew exactly where I was. 48 hours after the draft, the Celtics were so excited to get him second overall.
They just won the title, 67-15.
They made a 30 for 30 about him, or like have they made a 30 for 30 about him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Without bias.
Dude, he was one of the baddest MFers you'd ever seen playing basketball in Maryland.
Can you imagine if that happened today in today's media
Oh my
scape?
God.
People don't realize how shocking that was and sad.
Well, I mean, your particular football team took the field last night, not too long after they lost one of their teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
you, Raiders.
The Len Bias, just like, people broke into news, like breaking news when it was more common and it was more impactful. You would break into a regular program to announce the death of Len Bias. He's going to turn 62 today. If you've ever been to Maryland, so he was there, and they were playing in Cole Fieldhouse when the ACC.
He played for Lefty, didn't he?
Man, the stretch of basketball in the 80s, whether it be in the Big East, in the ACC, the Big Eight.
Wow, that
we were in a good time, but they have a really, really cool like Len Bias area.
Dude, that's awesome.
And his accomplishments, but damn, that was going to turn 62 today.
It's funny, and I'm going to age myself so badly here, but it is what it is. Like, you bring that up, Jimmy, about how if it happened in today's media landscape, and then
I've
what
thought
you
about
said,
that
Gary, of
often.
like people don't realize how big of a deal it was. Like, that is one of those events that like people my age, like you're told about it, but like you don't realize how like actually like what it was, like how big of a deal it was. It reminds me of like this happened, OJ, right? And all of that occurred. And like I was born way after all that happened. And I had to ask my mom, I was like, what is the comparison? Like, what is like, because everybody talks about how big of a deal this was and how like this is absolute tragedy and the whole trial and everything. Like, how, like, give me a comparison of like what would an OJ look like for me? Like what would like to give me that like kind of scope of how big of a
talking
deal
about June
things
17th,
were.
the chase.
Yeah. And just all that stuff. Just like how like because it's like there's some of those stories that happen like for kids like my age where you're told it's a big deal, and you're told it was a tragedy, you're told, but you don't really recognize how much movement and how massive it was.
So the 86 draft, that was the second lottery draft, and there was not a Patrick Ewing type player. The 86 draft, the best way to describe it is it was a tragic draft. So Len Bias,
Tarpley wasn't he in that one?
but so you start, Len Bias goes number 2. But why I say it was a tragic, it's not like an all-time worst draft.
No.
There were some really good players taken, but there were a lot of those guys in the 86 draft that never reached their full potential because of injuries or off-court issues. Look at back in the 80s, cocaine was still prevalent in the league. And there were guys that, and Len Bias is one of them, that their careers ended before they ever got started. You had John Lucas, and then Michael Ray Richardson, who just passed away. Those guys were suspended or banned during the course of their NBA career.
Chris Stoyak had an ugly injury in the playoffs. Arvidas, though, he was drafted.
Well, Brad Daugherty was number 1.
Yeah.
He turned out pretty good. The Cavaliers actually that year had a really good draft.
Warriors drafted Chris Washburn. He did not.
They got Ron Harper in that draft.
Yep.
That's probably Ron
Chuck
Harper.
Person.
They
the
also
rifleman.
so later in that draft,
hell of a pick.
They made a trade to get Mark Price.
So Price and he was taken by Dallas. That's
coached by Lenny Wilkins, who we just lost last week.
Ron Harper probably is. You know what? They trade Johnny Newman, Cleveland, because they picked him later in that draft too.
It's also a draft. It was also a draft where the New York City playground heroes flamed out. Like that's the draft that Pearl Washington was in. That was the draft that Walter Berry was in.
Good call.
Walter Berry, former Spurs great.
Del
Curry,
the Curry's dad. Yeah, Dell got drafted by Utah. Scott Skiles,
great, nice,
30 assists.
Arvidas Sabonis got drafted again, and then second round, 86, I believe, is Rodman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Round 3,
Is it?
Drazen Petrovic died way too young.
Yes. So it was a tragic,
Here's
very, very tragic draft. Jay Billis was drafted in that.
here's a good one. Jeff Hornacek was drafted
Yeah.
in that. That's a
Dave
hell of a pick,
Hoppin.
46 by Phoenix.
Yeah, Dave Hoppin was in the 86 draft.
Gaddison was in this draft too.
But Len Bias would have been celebrating his 62nd birthday.
Yeah, Dave.
And probably in the Hall of Fame and talking about one of the best ever play in the NBA. But 48 hours after that draft, he was found dead.
It's
A lot of
funny
their
when they
hands
have
back then.
152 picks in this draft, and you get to like, there's some guys who had like decent careers, like picked 133rd, which is funny.
Greg Grant.
Like I don't know this guy, okay, but like Tim Kempton,
I know Tim
Yep.
Kempton.
like he
Yeah.
played 8 years, he was picked
Mhm.
124th.
He
by
was
the
usually
Clippers.
6 fouls.
Was he that
Alexander
type of player?
Volkov. I had
This
his
is an
card.
interesting draft, Gary. I'm not a draft historian in the NBA when it comes to this stuff, but you could make the argument Rodman and Harper are probably the 2 best picks in this. Scott Skiles, really good pick at 22.
Is Brad Doherty in the Hall of Fame?
He's not.
No.
Is he in the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
Not yet. I
Is he
don't
still
think.
doing commentating for NASCAR? Remember when he was in the booth?
Yeah.
I don't know. Then they got to get new announcers for NASCAR. They have.
Wow, they just made changes. Are you talking about the Fox ones or
I'm talking
because
about.
NBC just made a change?
I'm talking about whoever
The first go around Fox
whoever
before they handed off to NBC.
yes, I think whoever did
You're
the
not a Mike Joy fan?
whoever did the championship, the playoffs. So I think it might have been Fox. I don't know.
NBC
It was NBC. Yeah,
or the NBC crew.
I wasn't a fan. It was a guy he was fine.
You don't like his accent. I know where you're going. Say it out loud. You don't like his accent.
I don't
You
like his
think-
accent.
You don't think a guy with that accent should be doing a sport that was born in the South?
Yeah.
Just say it. Say it out loud.
Yes. Yes. I am saying it out loud. I think
Oh, you're one of those.
I think I'm just saying it was a little
You're
off-putting.
one of
It was
those.
a little off. He could be a sideline reporter. He'd be great on a panel, okay? But like, I don't know, man. I go and listen to Wall Trip, and I'm hearing the old Daytona 500s and the giggity, and it's just like, here comes Junior. Like that's like
That's true.
I don't know.
I've heard of being turned down for
and
a-
Kyle Lawson wins his 4th NASCAR championship. Like that's not,
You get turned down for an
It
SEC
doesn't
play-by-play
really
job
resonate
because you
with
don't
me.
sound Southern enough. That's a
Denny
thing.
Hamlin, he's 1 lap away. Like I don't,
He does a really nice job, by the way.
He does.
Yeah.
Great in the Olympics.
he's good. I don't know if he does a nice job. There were moments this year where even outside of the accent, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of his announcing.
Jimmy, I guess we will not be having Lee Diffie on
That's too bad.
with us.
Good man.
Maybe we get Jeff Burton.
I
Do you
thought,
think that? Do you think Ian Drake should have?
I
think
thought
he's bad for soccer because he has an accent and it does not match where soccer was born in the United States.
We need Gus. Voice of soccer.
No, those people thought that was no. We don't need Gus doing soccer, but yes, Gus Johnson was put in a bad spot to be a
wasn't
soccer
fair.
announcer, and he was crushed. You think the college football fan is rough on Gus? Go back to when he was doing soccer.
I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. should announce every single NASCAR race. I thought he was incredible with Prime. I'm not saying
the prime
okay.
presentation was really good.
I'm being half serious, but I'm also being like, look, he's fine, and I'm not saying
He likes his Southerners.
But it's just there were moments where I'm like, it was a little,
Okay, so Kyle Crooks, new play-by-play voice in Nebraska, East Coast guy.
Okay, but he sounds great.
Should he sound
Okay.
British?
Sounds like John Baylor.
Hey, all
Larry
right.
Putney thinks he sounds like me when he gets excited, but I think he sounds like John Baylor. So, do you think it would be rough here to have? Trying to think who are some of the
Maybe
five.
I'm being based.
Okay,
but
so-
you know where I'm coming from.
So let's say
I'm not
somebody
saying
from
Tim Loftus
Louisiana
TV.
was the voice of the Huskers, but had a very, very thick
Beautiful
Louisiana
Cajun
accent. Do you think
accent.
that would be tough?
New Orleans.
What about an East Coaster?
Well, he is an
Yeah,
East
the
Coast.
Huskers.
He sounds
The
good.
Huskers.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know.
Touchdown,
How do you
Huskers.
think people if if somebody had a deep, deep Southern twang announcing the Huskers, how would we feel about it? Do you know what we would say? We would say he's good, but it's a little off. Like it's a little weird.
Keeps calling us the
saying.
Tad.
That's all I'm saying. I'm
Red
saying he's
Tad.
good, but it's just a little different.
Raula.
That's all exactly.
Doesn't that sound beautiful in Cajun?
No,
Raola.
That's exactly my point. It would because you agree with me. If you had a Southern guy announcing the Huskers, you would be like, look, he's not bad, he's not terrible. It's just a little different. It's something I'm not really expecting.
So
that's what I'm saying. Lee Diffie.
Boys
I'm
went to
just
war.
not really expecting.
Should Lee Diffie go and do IndyCar instead or Formula One?
I think he'd be. See, but that's I mean, because the other Formula One guys are already European and they already sound like that. I'm just saying it would sound that Lee Diffie sounds closer to the F1 announcers of the past than he does the NASCAR announcers of the past. And I'm just saying it's a little odd, like it's a little different listening to him.
The first time you listen and then you hear him do it and you're like, okay.
I'm not saying he's bad. I don't think he's bad at doing it. I'm just saying it's a little off.
What if he was doing an NFL game? Would you be irate?
I don't know.
That's what they should do. They just one cycle turn. Yeah. Let like Tirico call NASCAR. Well,
Tirico would Lee Diffie a Browns Titans game.
Tirico's been a host, but not. I don't know that he's ever called.
You don't think Tirico would kill it in NASCAR? To be fair, Mike Tirico can make camel racing.
I think NASCAR can be difficult to call.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It is very hard because there's all the different numbers that they're giving you and the gas stuff and the tire changes and the pit strategies. And then they have to they have to have like 3 different sideline reporters.
Is it tire? Is it a pit stop? He's coming in.
It's a robot.
He's going to have a 4-tire change.
What? Yeah, I mean,
hopefully he does not have a penalty for speeding on pit road.
Diffie does do a good job, and there are some.
Here come the Huskers.
I don't
Boys,
know who his. I don't know.
Me.
I don't know specifically who Diffie's color analysts are for NASCAR, but they're former drivers, right? And they're Southerners, and they like to peacock a little. They like to spread their shoulders and get in on different points that they make. And Diffie does do an actual good job of like, all right, buddy, calm down, and like moving the action. It's a little different for me.
Let's go to DW.
Here come the Huskers. First down, 10 the 20-yard line here in State College.
Look,
I reckon they got to get the run game going.
TJ Lateef is under center. TJ is from Compton, California. He drops back. He rolls right. He looks downfield and throws a pass to the near sideline, and that is Hunter. Hunter has got the catch at the 32-yard line to move the sticks. That's a pickup at 12, DB.
I tell you, he had a little hitch in his get-along down.
Hey, Damon. Hey, Damon. Hey, Damon. Damon, it looks like they got a 3-man front. Are they really running the 3-3-5 tonight?
Good gosh almighty, Joe Friday.
Nope, they're mixing it up. At John Butler. John Butler is in his bag tonight. Here he comes, and Allen is taken down in the backfield. Oh, good golly almighty. Oh, boy.
That sack was brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Transportation. Nebraska Department of Transportation says
kiss my grit, says John Butler about his defense.
It's a what do they call it? Frog strangler? It's a frog strangler here.
Hunker down, you hairy corn dogs.
All right, so any Australian that applied for the Nebraska football play-by-play job, you got no shot.
SOL.
I didn't say he was bad. I just said it was off. And you made my point for me. If the Nebraska Cornhuskers hired a Southern announcer, you wouldn't call him bad, but you'd be like, it's a little weird.
That's why living in this area, you have a better chance to get jobs elsewhere.
That's why I stayed in this area.
They are more acceptive because we really don't have an accent. People say, well, you have a Nebraska accent. I'm like, no, I don't. That's Tom Osborne, who called it Missouri. They are more receptive in the South to a play-by-play person coming there than somebody like Eli Gold. Could Eli Gold do Nebraska football?
For a game?
What about Gene Deckerhoff? So the legendary
Fire the
Florida
cannons.
State
Fire the corn
voice,
cannons.
who still does the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like Gene, it's not super distinctive, but he does have a Southern drawl.
Yeah, I think that if you
late Larry Munson.
I think that
that's straight out of Georgia there now.
I got to be careful here because I don't want to offend.
We got a first and 10.
But I do think that if you put a Southern accent on a Nebraska broadcast for one game, people would be like, "Oh, this is this is fun. This is cool.
They throw the whole kit and caboodle at him.
Yeah, this is different.
I
But
tell you
I
what.
think after 8 games, people will be like, this is a little weird.
The Nebraska hand warmer runs it.
You like this idea now. You do
Southern
actually.
guy come up here, and this Nebraska's about to beat Iowa on Black Friday. Pulls out his favorite Larry Munson.
This here Big Ten.
As Ja'Cory Barney is running by a Hawkeye. Okay, he's running the end zone on a touchdown that is thrown by TJ, Little T. So we just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. We just crushed their face. See, it wouldn't matter if you're from the South or whatever. If you say that about Iowa, they would love you a long time. They might build you a statue.
I tell you, that young man is a grown-ass man.
It'd be great if Kyle says, you know what, this game, I'm going to announce it like I'm an old-timey 1920 like MLB announcer. Yeah, you see here, Emmett Johnson in the backfield.
Uh-oh, Josh, stealing your bit. 1940s guy.
This bear's tighter than a pair of leather shoes on a rainy day. Latif back to drop. He's looking right. That'd be funny.
That might be one of those days where you wish that Tim Brando was doing the game.
I would take that over Brando and Gardner.
You come around on Brando.
No, I don't like Brando.
Yeah, I thought you defended him the first time I brought him up. I thought you defended him.
Tim is good for one game. Like, I want one Brando game a year. After the
At 11
second and
o'clock.
third time, I'm done with Brando. But I'll take one Brando game a year.
How do you do?
All right. I'm with Ethan. What about Brockmeyer doing a Nebraska football game? What about Pavelka doing a football game? Huh?
Yes,
I can get behind
absolutely.
that. Hell yes.
Maybe I'd do the bowl game.
There we go.
All right, that's my weekly fight for Kent to get one more football game. All right, we'll come back and put a wrap on the show. We got the crossover coming up next on this Tuesday of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. Bring Eli to Auburn. Bring him back. PJ Fleck to Arkansas.
Yeah, I did. Where did you read that, or is that a? That'd be crazy. That'd be wild.
Hogboard.
That'd be like Brett Bielema part 2 in a way.
I bet the Arkansas message board is just a flurry.
I don't know. I don't think I think Arkansas fans would be like, we're hiring a guy from the Big Ten again. Didn't it not work out the first time?
Well.
Yeah, it would not go over well at all.
Didn't so I think you would know this name, and didn't Bo Mattingly? They did a documentary about being PJ Fleck.
Okay,
and I think Bo did the documentary, and he's an Arkansas guy. So he also did a documentary on being Brett Bielema.
Oh,
when
really?
Bielema was the head coach at Arkansas. I don't know. I think Minnesota football has plateaued, and
I agree with that.
maybe they find somebody that can take it to the next level. And the same thing with Missouri. Missouri possibly has plateaued in a good spot, but I think Missouri's aspirations are a little bit higher considering the conference and their resources and what they're pouring into the program, that they would like to go to 10 wins and win important games. They have a really good coach that can get you to 9, but can't get you over the hump. And he does you a favor, but he has set up your job to be attractive. I'm sure Eli Drinkwitz's name is being mentioned for Penn State. I think the guy, and Auburn.
Yeah.
I think, though, so whatever Kiffin does, and I hope he stays at Ole Miss, it would be super awkward. And I don't blame Ole Miss for giving him an ultimatum, because they need to know.
Yeah.
If you don't have Lane Kiffin, you got to go find a coach and also coach your team in the playoff. And Lane's done some wild things. That might be one of his toughest ones, is to leave his team as they go into the playoff, because you can't allow him to coach. You can't allow him to be the head coach. I would love to see him stay. I don't know enough about the situation there, but he does give off the vibe that he loves Ole Miss, but he won't say yes to him. He won't commit to him. So he's got some leverage, and he's playing the game, and he holds all the keys. Didn't have a problem with Ole Miss saying, hey, we need something by the Egg Bowl. And it may turn out he says, I'm staying. They add resources, whatever they do, and Ole Miss goes, here we go.
Sure.
But the guy that seems like he's the one that sets things off is Bob Chesney at James Madison. He's mentioned for UCLA. He's mentioned for Penn State.
Do you think he's getting a bump because of Cignetti coming from JMU?
And yes.
Okay.
And he is good, and he is coaching a possible playoff team. Oh, could you bring some players with you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's exactly kind of the ploy, in a way, of like, somebody did it before. We have an opportunity to do the same thing again. I also think the whole ultimatum thing, which is kind of wild to think about, but I mean, it's got to, like, that has to be a new precedent at this point because of the transfer portal window, because of the January kind of one-time window. Like, this isn't just a Mississippi thing. Like, this is all those teams who are going to deal with those issues kind of have to make sure that they have a program up and running before January.
Do you think if Rhule was a real candidate at Penn State, they would have given him an ultimatum before this weekend?
Oh, before this weekend? Maybe. Potentially, sure.
I would love to see Lane stay at Ole Miss. I mean, he's a legend. What they're doing. They also have resources. They are a well-funded football program. I think this is just, you got to look at 2 jobs that are, one is one of the better jobs in college football. The other has a ceiling that very few have reached in Gainesville. But we'll see. It's weird to have an off week where this can go on, but flight tracker season, enjoy it. Mysterious, where the plane pulls into the hangar and the family gets out.
Do you think he was on Zoom the entire time? That they just had a virtual lane
with
his family?
No.
I
think he said, go there and check it out. Remember, Auburn courted him, and he let his kids make the decision.
Yeah. Good point.
All right. Crossover's coming up next. Tomorrow we'll talk some basketball. As Creighton is in action, Omaha is in action. We'll figure out, did the Gonzaga game burn Hudson Greer's red shirt? He was wearing a blue jersey. Wasn't on the scout team in the video I saw.
Did it?
I don't. You're the Creighton.
I don't.
You're the Balnor.
I haven't heard that.
All right. John Walker will join us tomorrow. Jay Moore is well with all of you at 6.